Welcome back, everyone, to another reaction, recap, review of House of the Dragon. I almost just said House of the D.
Suitable.
Everybody ready for some hot D?
House of the Big D. That has different connotations that I'm not sure they wanted, but they're going with it. All right.
Yeah, the chats. Yeah, they're cool. They're a cool bunch out there. What's up, you sexy chat? I see you. We just finished watching. Shad just joined us, and we're gonna get going. This was another good. This was the big hump. We got the new actors, actresses.
Fast forwarded 10 years.
Fast forwarded 10 years. Not all the actors look like the younger version at all. But man, a lot of Game of Thrones stuff happened, and boy, they really want you to notice the rat running around. Okay, I'm not even going to tell you what that's about. It's foreshadowing something pretty gnarly. I'll just say that. I'm not even going to tell you when it happens. It's probably going to happen this season. Foreshadowing this season. So
because me and Gary have been watching them all together, right? So back when we did episode 1 or 2-ish, I would say oh, what's that? And then you might just straight up explain exactly what it is and what'll happen even a season down the line. But now when I go, wait, what is that? You'll go, I
really do. The chat will probably say, but even if they say, you're not going to know what it is.
It's okay anyway, because there's a couple of things I've known now because I've seen it read, but I'm very much I want to see how it happens, how we get there. I know the fate of one of the main characters in terms of what happens to them specifically, but I don't know how we get to that scene. So I'm interested, no matter what.
Well, they're changing enough from the book to make it interesting. And we'll talk about it. There's a big change in something in this episode that we'll get to. But again, greetings. Nerdrotic, greetings, chat. Let's go around the horn. Let's say hi to everybody, and we'll start. We'll start with Shad. Start with Shad today.
All right. So I was a little undecided on what sword I should use to contextualize this episode, and surprisingly, I've decided on the katana. Okay. Because this episode was very, very effective. I think it might be a bit misunderstood. There's a lot to try and interpret, understand about this episode, which could cause confusion, which is very much, katana. But very effective what it does. Might not necessarily be my favorite, but I have to acknowledge its qualities. Okay. And so this was a katana episode, which is still very big praise, by the way. Wow. There were some things one thing I really, really liked. Other things I was impressed by. I'm undecided on how I feel about the, not necessarily the actresses. I think they did fine, but where the characters are specifically, the queen and princess. So, I'm interested in talking about with you guys your feelings on where those characters are at the moment. One thing I was really this show, man, so much gets done. This show introduces certain characters, and I'm like, oh, this guy's he's there. Okay. So we'll keep moving because it is just moving really fast.
As is tradition, we will do comparisons to Rings of Power here and there. 5 hours, we've gotten 20 minutes. In this show, 5 hours has gotten us 20 years. Something like that.
And you can't even get settled with a new status quo in a single episode because it changes by the end. And you're like, oh, all right, stuff is happening here. And so... yes. Look. Katana is a good sword, guys. All right, we gotta acknowledge it. And I was a wee back in the day. So yeah, and like I said, there are things to discuss. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on these ones. But when I say it's not necessarily my favorite, me, I like action. I like swords. There was a bit of an action there. I like I really like political intrigue. I have some questions about decisions certain characters make and where it's going to lead to. Again, great discussion. Excited for that. But that's where I'm at the moment.
And I might be able to answer them or not. There was a couple things that we'll get to. Because I want to say hi to MauLer. MauLer, I just watched this episode with you. That's a very enjoyable thing. MauLer and I watch these episodes together.
It's very fun. I enjoy it.
Cool.
I get little fun facts as we go through, as well as
Gary
gets to pretty much discover my opinion before I even say it because of like my reactions as we go through. But yeah, I'll say I think I spotted more issues with this one than the previous. However, I think I like this one a very large amount. I'm a very big fan of it, and I think I want to give it even more points for the fact that it moved me on 10 years, and it managed to convince me that I don't need to see anything that happened in that intervening 10 years. I think which is an exceptional job. That's very difficult to pull off. And as Shad said, I agree as well. They didn't really waste much time. A lot of these scenes, they're just trying to tell you in as quick as words as possible. You know, these guys, yeah, you saw all those other episodes. This is where they are, and this is the trouble they're going through. And now they're already moving to a different phase of their life. And that's going to be the interesting part to cover now. And they have to do that with like 5 families or whatever. It's just like, oh my God, this is tough, but super interesting. We'll get to it. Don't want to get too specific. But man, do I like where Kristen Cole has gone. He could have gone a couple of different ways. I find this super interesting. He ain't fucking around.
No, he's not. He's not.
No, for anybody who thought he was going to be like the Ned Stark of it, no.
No. Yeah, very, very enjoyed it.
He might be my favorite character at the moment. I was wondering who my favorite character is, but it might be Kristen Cole. Like, just for
he's up there
what
for
happens
me.
in this episode. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything up to this episode, he's like, yeah, he's cool. But with this one on top of everything, it's like, that's satisfying, actually, that he's here now.
And the thing is, I was starting to really like, is it Sir Strong, the captain of the guard? I'll end it there. I'll wait till we get to the episode because...
Well, you find out that Lionel Strong, most honorable guy in the show. End of story. Like, wasn't up to anything, was about the realm. Yeah. So that's the hand. The hand was like straight. He was the Ned Stark. Like he was the good guy. Was. I
was trying to avoid him, but I was actually referring to his son, the captain of the guard.
Yeah. Breakbones. Harwin Strong. Or Dad.
Harwin, Lionel, and who's you got Harwin, Lionel, and the brain one, who the clubfoot. What was his name again?
Larys.
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 Wow, does he?
He just came out of nowhere, right?
Wow, like you get
he's blasted onto the scene now. He was, but they showed him turn up, then they showed him develop, and now they've shown him explode.
Well, they also showed the potential. Something was lurking there, and now it was revealed what was there. I was talking to MauLer before we went live, and I thought that Larys might have been his favorite character. And if not his favorite, I'll let you say, well, you like something about him in this episode.
His monologue, I thought, was fantastic. We'll talk about that near the end.
That was, they're like, I feel this. I really like this episode, but it had flaws. It had a couple of flaws, and we're not counting Allison Hightower being a Trump supporter.
I was wondering if we would bring that up because holy crap, they're just creators of this show, the actors just shut the hell up and let the show.
If you read the article in the actress's defense, though, she was told by Miguel Sapochnik to play it that way, and she said, "No, I'm not going to play it that way." And she was actually allowed to fill in, like all the actors apparently were allowed to fill in some blanks with their character, like Matt Smith is playing it the way he wants to play it. I would listen to Matt Smith, I spent the day watching Matt Smith Doctor Who while I was working in my office. So good. But I don't know, is Jane out there? Is she in there? We can bring in Jane. You guys want to bring in Jane? You cool with bringing in Jane?
Yeah, hell
yeah.
Yeah, we can bring in Jane. We're supposed to have Fringy had a thing. Fringy had a thingy.
Yeah, he's it's actually better to not be any more specific than that.
I'm not more specific than that. I'm just going to say
he really wanted to be here, but he was unable to be.
He'll join us next week. We love Fringy. Okay, he's a good dude. Good dude, knowledgeable dude, makes great videos. His Endgame video, masterpiece, absolute masterpiece.
I was actually going to say about because like when you look into interviews or just meta stuff, like the Doctor Strange ones that I did, like the conclusion I got to after listening to about 3 different people in the production talk about the movie, I was just like, I don't just stop talking about your movie. It's making it worse. Like you're ruining it. Why would you do this?
Yeah, dude. it's dumb. And Miguel Sapochnik is gone. Like he quit or got fired. I'm thinking they only brought him in for one season because he knew kind of the infrastructure of Game of Thrones and how could help set that up. And they actually brought in an older director from like the early days to help out. This is Ryan Condell's show and George's show. George has a lot to do with it. That's why Winds of Winter has not come out yet, because of this show and that fucking book.
How many days, Gary? How many days?
Oh, I gotta look.
We can't forget.
How many? So, as soon as I Google how many days, it automatically fills in the month I was looking for. Since July. Oh, now it's not there. What did I do? July 11th. No, it's July 12th. 2011. I'll never forget that day, because I had just finished watching. It's 4,093 days since the release of A Dance with Dragons. And by the way, I'll never forget that date, because I just finished like watching the first 4 episodes of Game of Thrones, the first season, and I'm like, oh, a book just came out. That's great.
Yeah, that'd have been a pretty good feeling. So, Jade, what did you think of the episode?
Hello. I liked it, but there are issues. There are some issues with it. Just the characters are so different. It's a bit jarring.
I was fine with that, except for the one like straight up feminist speech in it.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh shit.
They leaned into it.
They did. And they did it with Laenor. But the thing is, they've amped him up too, because remember, Laenor was never a knight. He got knighted right before he married Rhaenyra, just as a formality. But he was not a fighter. He liked to go out and go to festivals and play, go dancing at night. That's like So they, like making him a dragon rider and having him fight in the Stepstones. That's something he did not do.
Yeah.
So, I guess there's that. And I called it to MauLer. I called it gaysogyny instead of. So hey, welcome, Jane. Thanks for coming in last minute.
Thank you for the invite.
Of course.
Happy to be here.
People loved you last week. I guess I'll get back to. I'll try not to get. I did this with Amazon. I got busted, but I was playing too much. Like I'm just gonna do stills from the show. Okay. But it's good to have the visual aid, I think, because it keeps me on track. Because then I'll do my magpie thing, right? Where I'll jump all over the damn show. And well, then we got another birthing scene with some very interesting sound effects. I had headphones on for this.
Yeah.
So brought back some memories.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I did the same thing I did then. But they really wanted you to feel it, man. They wanted you to feel the pain of birth, and they did it. But then
I didn't watch this part.
Dude,
it's funny. I actually had questions, I've been with my wife through 5 of them. And so the process, what happens after the next. And when she gets up, I'm like, hang on, there's an important part that hasn't happened yet. But then they do the second birth. That like, why was she even trying to leave? That that's going to come. You can't.
That'll be flaw number 1 with this episode.
There's 2 instances like, okay, dude, I haven't been in 5, hero. By the way, thank you for replenishing the earth, Shad. We appreciate you.
Doing my part.
Dude, long happy life to your wonderful children and your very, very your heroic wife. So yeah, I've been in there. It was like cesarean though, so it was like blood.
Oh my god,
dude. Yeah, only time I've in my life I've ever gotten like lightheaded. I was like, ooh, whoa, because it's my wife, right? So I'm like, you're like, Jesus. My wife was fine, by the way. She was like loaded. She's like, everything's great. So I wasn't. But yeah, how the hell is she getting up and walking?
Okay. So my wife is actually, she had to wait for everything to come out, right?
Yeah.
But our child needed to go straight into the nursery to be monitored. Had trouble breathing when they came out, and my wife, she did not want to be separated with the baby. She wanted to see her, and so she actually got up, walked into the nursery. So it can happen, but she was unstable and everything. I'm not sure going upstairs. But yeah, it's really different between every woman. How quickly they can bounce back from it, and she did have some painkillers as well. So, the princess probably loaded up on milk of the poppy as well.
Milk of the poppy on her way up. Yeah, why not? Like they at least didn't make it like easy. She would, they made that. Yeah, and I do believe, MauLer, you pointed out that it was all one shot, right?
I think
it was.
I need to check it again because I could be tricked into certainly for a decent chunk of time. I would have to check again, but I think so. Certainly when her and Laena was together for a while, and I think it still, we get to add to this scene in a way that maybe we couldn't have as easily with making this choice. There's a lot of aspects to it I enjoy. I was curious if you guys think that there's something they're trying to tell us by just jumping straight into Rhaenyra giving birth to a third child and looking incredibly, it's difficult, it's frustrating for standard reasons, but also for the reasons of everything we discover as the episode goes on. Is this supposed to be a sort of way that the show is like, look where she is now compared to where she just was, where you just saw her, look at and consider what that means going forward and how she may feel about it? Because there was the thing about she had like everything in front of her back then, but now she's facing an annihilation of sorts, is what she comes to realize in this episode, I'd say. So I wonder if that's deliberate to try and be like because not to say that the pregnancy is to bring a woman low in any way, shape, or form, but my suggestion is just she is so exasperated, and then she goes straight from that into frustration and almost envy and like anger with the queen and everyone looking, and all these people like feigning sort of attention and support for her when she doesn't believe any of it. I just think it's a really interesting way to start it off, as being like, this is where she's at now, 10 years later.
Something that was confusing for me was the very fact that she was having children. I thought they were setting up pretty strongly that she does not want to have children, to want to be, a slave to the birthing bed, just to pump out heirs for the kid. And so the fact that she's now here having children, and she was actually really affectionate to the child when it came out. She wasn't like, get the thing away from me, I hate doing this kind of thing. To me, that was actually a bit of a contradiction in the character development. I would have liked to have them given her something to explain what brought her here to make her say, yeah, I want children now, especially because having the children with her, it's undermining her position and authority as heir. Like, the thing that would have secured her right as being the official heir would not be to have bastards, for one, like very obvious bastards.
Wait, I think we can explain that by having, because what the end of her arc in, I think, episode 5, right, is that she wants X, Y, and Z, but she's filtered down by her dad as a result of events taking place that she will do her duty. And she even gets, obviously, Laena to essentially make the same deal. And I think she sees having children as part of that. It's like a deal she's made.
Interesting point. Like she does seem to have been almost cowed, for lack of a better term, by her father saying, you'll do your duty, you're going to marry him, you're going to have heirs, because Viserys probably would be ready to disown her if she's actually not producing heirs and not doing her authority.
Yeah.
And so you could argue that she's doing it to maintain, the claim or position as heir that might be taken away from her if she doesn't do it.
With what we know about Rhaenyra, I think we can believe that, yeah, she'll have the kids, but she would prefer to sleep with someone she's attracted to, or rather someone who's interested in her,
Seems like her husband, he did his duty, but I don't think he got there. Let's just say that.
Well, that's the problem, is that she isn't doing her duty. It sounds like part of their agreement was that they would each do their own thing separately.
Well, so I mean, she's kind of cheating she seems to be cheating as much as she believes she can get away with, but she's just realized, I think, in this episode that it's not worked.
Yeah, I think it's been obvious to her since the first child.
Yeah,
and she's completely ignored it.
She has, and this is where that plausible deniability from the books doesn't really work in the show. Okay, So in the
It's
show,
so clear here. It's like how, like, I mean, I love the king, and they basically have to say he's denying reality to the point. And it's funny with the setup of the character, he wants peace so much, and this would tear the realm apart. And so I actually believe that the show has brought me to the point that I could believe Viserys deluding himself to that point to not acknowledge something so bloody obvious. Yeah, but everyone else though, like.
Isn't that the point though, that everyone has realized it's gotten to an absurd boiling point now? Like we were just waiting, really.
It was the Emperor has no clothes. Like
everybody knows. Everybody stays quiet.
The series knows too, and what he basically said to Alicent was, "Do you see the implications? Like if the truth came out, like the deed is done. It is done. You cannot unmake the soup. We're gonna roll with this."
Yeah, I was actually gonna say my theory there would be that Viserys is fully aware, but he's just like, everything is better if we just run along with it and keep saying no. They are official Targaryens. It's totally fine. Everything's great. And I think that matches him as well. Yeah,
it's so in line with this character. He wants peace. He doesn't want war. He just wants the family to get along.
Oh,
and his
Shad, when I saw him, when he walked in the room and he'd lost his arm, I was like, oh.
I know, my heart's breaking for the poor guy. Like, I just love him more and more. And he's in a point now where he's so weak. He just wants things to go well, and he doesn't have the energy to try and orchestrate things. And you see Alicent really kind of taking the leadership now.
Oh yeah, she's taken over essentially. She even to the point where a grand decision as much as secession, she can basically just say no.
Like the marriage, she's the one who says no to that, and Viserys he pushes, but he can't fight her on it. She calls an end to the meeting. She's basically the ruling authority at the moment.
Oh, I really got a sense that Otto is coming out in her at this point, and she even I was super interested by the fact that she wants him back. She wants that brain back. Like it's
the support,
an ally in court.
I get the weird difference in the book. Obviously, you have an unreliable narrator, a maester reading this and writing this. So there are times it feels more sympathetic to Rhaenyra, and I think they were trying that here. And Alicent like really looked like the one getting screwed over, kind of, like
definitely. I mean, the expectation that she would marry her actual true-born children to Rhaenyra's bastards makes absolutely no sense.
What did she say? Did she say plain-looking children or something?
Yeah, plain-looking features, common-looking features. Yeah, so they have.
I think Alicent is like, I understand her completely. I don't take any issue with the decisions she's making. And this is the thing when it comes to Viserys, I'm like, I understand you completely, and I feel sad for you.
So Alicent summons her up, or wants to see the baby, and I don't. She didn't expect Rhaenyra to come up, so she's like, "Oh, you should be in bed," and Rhaenyra's like, "Yeah, you want that one."
But like, even with that, the implication, again, the show doing so much without actually saying it, is like she's checking on what the baby looks like. It's clear she doubts that, who's the father is. And the first thing she wants to do, even right after the baby comes out, is asserting her authority in a big way, saying, show me the baby right away. That had,
not to mention,
that was a power play. That was a big power play right out of the gate.
She could be present at the birthing, or at least walk in once it's all said and done, but instead she's like, come to me, bring the baby to me, when it's like that is, again, power play stuff. It's just standard. They've done it a couple times in this show, and you gotta love it.
You gotta love it. Sir Marhouse for 1999 says, I'm glad we got to hear about Grover Tully, but we didn't hear about his son or grandson, Elmore Kermit. Also, the training scene to the combat training scene in Rings of Power, night and day.
I've got notes.
We're gonna get there. Oh, we're gonna get there. I was gonna make our first Rings of Rings of Power reference would be with the hair color of the very strong boys. Okay, of the very strong boys. Rings of Power would have gone, the baby's hair is brown. look at that brown hair on the baby. You know, like they would have like right in that first scene, and that's part of the difference. And then everything, like, you know, MauLer and I are discussing, like, we're gonna probably watch it again right after this live stream because I want to, and there's so much to catch, and they really fast forward. What this season has been largely is a question of succession. It is it is one single chapter in Fire and Blood, and they just fast forwarded through the rest. Basically, we got one more little thing to go, but they really did like ramp everything up, and they skipped some stuff, and I guess the only, well, I don't want to get too far ahead, but like Sir Criston Cole was about to kill himself. He hit Laenor Velaryon, the king consort. He punched him.
Yeah.
He should have his head should be off for that right there. They kind of need to explain that. Little stuff like that. It
also goes into how little regard they give him, though, you know.
Presumably the Queen pardoned or would have got him through that, I guess.
Yeah.
Because he's Alicent's foot soldier at this point.
It's in line with the series always wanting peace between everyone, so I could see.
Yeah.
You got that, and you've got Alicent would have protected him to some degree, I think.
Yeah.
Obviously, because I mean, like he is hers
useful.
Now.
Yeah.
He is hers. So yeah, we got this little scene. The baby's hair is indeed.
Sorry, I think I spoke over Shad there. I don't know if you were saying something else.
I can't remember now.
It'll come back.
Oh yeah, it was yeah. It's that basically. The king consort he is just a token kind of alliance that no one takes seriously. Was my impression. Is like depending on who hit him, a lowborn would get punished, but I think there's a couple of people that could hit him and get away with it because of how useless he is at the moment.
Could you argue as well the confusion of whatever was happening there? Could that benefit you in a situation like that? Being
yes, that it was reflex, and also we don't know exactly the crime of the Knight of the Roses, right? I'm starting to think that he started the kisses, that he actually could be if Sir Cole said he threatened the princess. And then the betrothed, who's now the king consort, was getting in the way of him dishing out justice for the person who threatened the princess. It's like he was justified in getting him off, even with a punch, to lay down justice. Again, we don't know exactly. We're not told. But if it was something as serious as the Knight of Kisses actually laying a hand on the princess,
Sir Joffrey Longmouth. You know what? The direct Kundell comes out and says it. Do you want he comes out and says it at the end of the damn episode? I wish I hadn't listened to it, but he just said Criston Cole snapped. He just said Criston Cole snapped.
Why? Yeah, you don't even just stop talking about your own show.
Stop talking about your show.
HBO. I was going to say, by the way, apparently it was in something to do with the behind the scenes, possibly. But you know the sort of you were wondering if they were going to bring in Mushroom. Apparently the guy we saw playing the drums or whatever, that is supposed to be Mushroom.
That is going to be Mushroom.
Well, I don't know if they're going to be giving him more than that. That could be a cameo, and they've named him Mushroom, like just to be like, see, book readers, there you go, there he is. But he's not, or maybe he will play a role. I don't know.
This Mushroom sounds awesome. I'm hoping he appears.
I know. I'm interested.
To leave him out would be dumb, and if it's just we don't want another Tyrion. He's not another fucking Tyrion. He's a fool, and he's funny, but he's not like going to be Hand of the King, and he's not hated by his father or anything. He's just a witness to all this, and people don't take him seriously, so he gets to witness all the dark stuff. Plausible deniability is still there. Kids have Baratheon and Aaron blood. Also, Viserys continues to be extremely weak. The queen runs the small council.
Yes, that is true. That is happening. He's falling apart.
If Rhaenys actually was given dark hair, maybe, but they didn't go that route.
Yeah. One child would be maybe, and that is a weird anomaly. But 3 in a row, that's confirmation. It's like, come off. And then they kind of say that. Alicent even says one is an accident, 3 is an insult.
And the children they cast look perfectly strong. Like these kids look
exactly
like their father.
Like a really good job.
Well, yeah, this is the thing. I don't think there is. Everyone knows, and I think that isn't the point of this episode that it's gone too far.
Well, and the kids are white, so that's the other thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's almost the same. Like in the books, it would be like it would be purple eyes, silver or blonde hair, and then you'd have to have the brown hair. So it stands out the same way, and that's just, it does. It's still, I don't know. His hair is a little better in this. Like his wig is better in this than the other wig, like his younger version. So
what held what you could call the piece up to this point, it seems, is the fact that nobody has the balls to say it. You remember, even Lionel like said, "I should resign for a thing that has happened." What thing? I'm not gonna say it.
Right.
Like, I ain't gonna fucking say it.
Especially
And
not
that's the difference between him and Otto. I mean, that's
yeah.
we gonna bring that up later.
The strong baby, let's go, says Luis Suevas. Sorry if I mispronounced that, for $20. Thank you, Luis.
So there are a couple of bobs in this episode that I adored, and I think the first one comes from Alicent of all people, where she's like, congratulations on your son, Laenor. Maybe one day one of them will look like you. It's just like, wow.
That's all that she just says it basically.
You keep trying.
This is also why I had such an issue with Corley's casting. If he had been cast with a biracial actor, then his son would be more white, and then the kids could be white, and it would be fine. But I don't understand the direction they went in, unless it was their intent to make it this obvious.
Yeah, I agree with you that this, because of that aspect, this is the thing. This is an open secret. It's like, this is the most openest of open secrets ever. But I guess they want us to think that, yeah, it's the fear of revealing something like that is why it's not been revealed officially yet. But everyone knows.
It's not like there isn't a bunch of open secrets.
I was gonna say
Hollywood.
There's a couple of terrible ones for that. I was not to get into it, but the one that always fascinated me is I knew someone who had been on the set of an X-Men movie or two, and they knew just house rules: keep your kids away from him. That's what you're supposed to do.
And fortunately, he won't be there for the entire. Like, he'll take off for 2 or 3 weeks and have Simon Kinberg. Yeah, Simon Kinberg would directed half of those movies.
It's just one of those things where you just need that one person to eventually come in, and someone says, "Don't let your kids near him," and you go, "What the fuck do you mean by that?" And then that one person makes enough noise about it, and then everyone goes, "Oh, yeah, that's terrible. Oh, that's awful that's happening." Yeah, that's the first I've heard of it. It's like,
he ain't getting work anymore, so.
No, yeah. Well, and that's what I mean that would happen with this, theoretically, right? A domino will fall, and then everyone will believe it's true because they knew it was true, but then they'll also be like, "Wow, what a shock that is. I am shocked."
So surprised. Yep. The Arch Spartan for 50 Canadian pesos. Thank you very much. I interpreted Cole's survival and seeming pardon as a testament to Alicent's power and to show that she is truly already in power in the capital. Love you all, by the way. Shad, have you seen IGN's video criticizing Lord of the Rings trilogy weapons and fight scenes? Oh God, I hate it when they do that.
Is that something they've done?
Is it?
Chad, you want to come on EFAP to cover it?
I might need to. This is interesting. I haven't seen that. And are they criticizing, like ripping it apart? Because
I hope it's not to justify Rings of Power. Like,
I'm gonna say, is it new? Because if so, it probably is. Oh, they've got a sword expert to react to the Lord of the Rings.
The movie that was made 20 years ago. That's
hang on.
Yeah.
Is it Dave Rawlings or Matt Easton? Which one is it?
So I'm not sure. I can't find a name, but it came out a month ago, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, 2 days ago.
So IGN.
Oh, that one's Rings of Power though.
Love to hear what he said. The Rings of Power sword play was crap. It was garbage.
What do you mean, Gary? It was great.
Oh my God, it was terrible. That was just the worst.
Show how strong she is by having her fight children in the street.
Numenorian children.
It's Matt. Yeah, Scholar Gladiatorian Matt Easton, by the look of it. These are the IGN ones.
That's all I could take, that guy.
Matt's great. He's a good guy, and so he probably compliments and gives a good take, though. in terms of analyzing fight scenes and stuff, sometimes we differ. I'm a bit more hardline than that. But
That's why we like you.
Oh, thank you.
With a hardline here.
Retarded.
Thank you, Arch Spartan. We appreciate you. Thanks for being here. We love you too. So dad is looking at his kid. That's Harwin Strong.
Yeah.
What'd you think of his armor, Chad?
I actually liked it. I mean, it has one thing that's annoying. They're trying to do a type of brigandine where you can clearly see that either the plates, I can't remember if they were above the armor or underneath, but they're not overlaid. They're next to each other and there's gaps in between, and that always annoys me. But overlooking that, if I could just get past it, I actually quite liked it. Had a cool bever, cool pauldrons that seemed to match, seemed functional and practical outside of my nitpick. Yeah, I didn't mind it.
Excellent.
I liked the armor the kids were wearing in the when they were practicing. That was good, top tier stuff. I was like, good to see.
So Harwin seems to be like, he wants to be a good dad, but kind of a problem politically. And it's weird how the episode tries to put Rhaenyra in a sympathetic light, but we need to remember that these are decisions she made. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
She decided to screw a guy who wasn't her husband to have heirs, and she made her bed. She needs to lay in it. And if this is a story of female empowerment, that's why I always like, I don't know how you get female empowerment out of this story. I really don't, because it's just women being horrible and dumb. So
I thought you were going to say it's just women being horrible. I was like, Gary, that's
yeah, a little.
Gary, maybe it is female empowerment because it's empowering to say you take an action, you get consequences.
Well,
Works the same for everybody.
It is. Miguel Sapochnik said like Alicent Hightower is like a Trump supporter and Rhaenyra is like punk rock. And I'm like, what, self-destructive? She's gonna get hooked on drugs and commit suicide? Yeah, like half of my friends did.
See, this is why I just want to. We talked about death of the author on both the previous EFAPs. I need it as an ability sometimes to just be like, go away. So this episode, like when I hear Rhaenyra complaining about her situation, I kept thinking in my head, like, I love how much this has all been downstream of her decisions in the earlier episodes when she was much younger. I like how it all connects back. It was important we saw all of those decisions being made, and some of them at the core were just her looking to have some fun. And look at the repercussions at this point.
Mm-hmm. And I really hope we evolve past this. We're going to judge. I mean, for one, it's a fantasy series, but it's based on the Middle Ages. Okay, it's the freaking Middle Ages. Half the women, I mean, not half, but a lot of the women died giving birth. It was just the thing. It's not like they wanted to. Even the ones who weren't producing heirs for kings, the ones who just wanted to have kids to help around the farm or whatever, they died. It was the Middle Ages. People died of a cut. It's just the way it was. We're lucky we're here. So judging the past on modern situations, it's just the worst thing, and we need to just get past it.
It's always so one-sided. I mean, it's not like they consider the fact that men also were called to war away from their farms and their families and asked to die on behalf of kings who could care less about them.
And lords.
It was a terrible time for everybody.
Yeah. There was that little exchange where he was like, "I've taken a spear to the shoulder, but I wouldn't want to be a woman." And it's just like, what are you're not seriously suggesting, are you, that
like a mace in like your nutsack? I mean, like in the middle of it, or in the like half your face gets caved in. Yeah, that's not going to feel good either.
I think what they're trying to show is that both of them are just incredibly dumb.
Seriously, yeah, that's the read I'm getting. I don't know if it was intentional, but I'm enjoying the read too, because I think Rhaenyra really has. She's made several bad decisions. She looks like she's already gearing up to be a bad ruler, and I'm enjoying it because I feel like it's all been built up properly to be that way.
That's kind of my take with her decision at the end. We'll talk about it perhaps when we get there, because in terms of bad decisions,
it's been 10 years and she hasn't grown at all.
No.
Yeah, I think she's almost. This is what I mean about that opening shot the episode has. It makes me feel like it's saying, "This is everything you knew about her, taken forward 10 years, and this is where she's at, and she's very unhappy."
Here's a couple of Targaryens that look like Targaryens. This is Aegon and Aemond. They're bros. They're Viserys' trueborn sons through Alicent Hightower. Going to be major players when they're older, and I think that's what they're fast forwarding to, right? Getting these new kids a little bit older, especially the one on the right is a big character, but like kind of a
good
favorite. Yeah, he is.
And
Go on.
I want to see it develop because, of course, I think they intentionally made the one on the left, the older one, more unlikable. He seems like a bit of a douche.
Well, he's a bit more of a Chad for sure, but the one on the right, they're definitely laying the foundation for who he becomes as an adult or
I think
older child.
They do a lot of that, and at this point, like especially as someone who doesn't know exactly how all this turns out, to have the guy on the left be like kind of he's a little bit flopsy, I guess, in terms of just his approach. He's not very strong, but to have his final scene in the episode be his mum telling him he could die if he's not going to take this seriously, I feel like the next time we see him now, the results of that could be that he's much more serious about everything. It could be that's why they showed us that. Could go a different direction. Kristen Cole about to kill himself and Alicent stopping him. You can take that in a million different directions. I like the one they took it in, and I'm looking forward to where they take this and where they take the guy on the right. You know,
he just comes out and calls her a selfish, and I was like, yeah.
Dude, he says it so confidently too. It was great. Was that later or was that already happened? I can't remember.
It might be a bit. I can't remember now. Somewhere close around this point.
Dude, Paul Anderson for $5. I am really wondering sometimes if they're taking shots.
I mean, I wasn't gonna say anything, but when you see that view, I immediately think of Tommen. And I was just like, but they're doing that? God. Like, all right. I mean, how do you not think of Tommen doing that? It's like a meme image, that one, where he just jumps out.
Yep. We got a better one now from She-Hulk, by the way, I think.
Yeah.
Personally.
I do feel like the conversation between Alicent and her son, Aegon, was a little bit rushed. Like maybe it came a little bit too soon, and I would have preferred if she had that conversation with someone else about him and his potential fate.
I thought that I would actually agree. It definitely was rushed in terms of her relationship with him. She should be more careful than to just drop it all on him like that. But I thought it was prompted by the fact that she wasn't this after she was starting to realize that Rhaenyra is now aware of the problem that she may come for. Basically, that she's aware of the tensions rising to the point she's seeing Otto's warnings are coming true. Basically, so she's like panicking, is what I'm saying, and that's why she said it there and then. I think. Not a wise decision in terms of getting your son to understand the situation. Just drop it like an anvil on him, but we'll see how that turns out, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Alicent's got a lot of things behind her eventually because she's from Old Town, so that gives her a lot of alliances. And one of my favorite things from last episode was just the when she was coming down, when she made her big entrance, and they're like, is that green? It's green. But she like kind of glanced over at the high towers, and all the high towers were like looking back on, like knowing what was up. That was like, that's why they didn't need to explain it, because that look was perfect. They all had like little smirks on their faces, like it's on. We got you, girl. And they're like the Lannisters. I mean, like you have a house like that backing you. That's the top 3 house, all the money. They have more soldiers than the Lannisters. They have a huge fleet. They have the red wine fleet, and they're not even like major lords. They're not lords of the Reach. That's the high. Oh my God, why am I blanking on their name now? Not the red wines. Jane,
I forgot.
Former House Gardener. Why am I not Tyrell?
Tyrell's. Yeah.
Oh shit, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, the House Tyrell is their liege lords, but they had but I don't know if they explained it, but during this there's a baby, basically there's a kid and a regent there, so they kind of don't have a ton of power, so the high towers can kind of do whatever they usually could do whatever they want anyway, but because they're in Old Town with not just the Sept, but they have the Citadel there too, so they have a religious center and the scientific Westerosi Scientific Center, which is the maesters of the Citadel, who are loyal to all the high towers, which is
random curiosity. Is the high tower itself one of the highest towers, or the highest tower in
it's
Westeros?
the highest tower in Westeros, yes.
Okay. Cool.
Higher than the wall.
Really?
Yeah. The wall's 700 feet. I think the high tower's like 1,000, maybe 800.
Bloody hell.
That's huge.
How did they build that? I want to see it. I want to see this. I want to see the base of this thing as well.
Well, the base is that part of that fused stone that they can't explain, right?
Mhm.
So it was there when they got there, and that's what they put it on. So there's this fused. There's two different fused stone. There's the Valyrian fused stone, which is dragons basically forming lava with their dragon flame, and through magic they can basically just mold castles, right? But there was a race before the Empire of the Dawn, right, Jane?
Mhm.
The Empire of the Dawn has left remnants around all over that they were like really advanced.
Yeah.
And they had this fused plastic look. So the sea stone chair in the Iron Islands is this fused stone. The base of the high tower, the 5 forts, I believe, maybe, which are over in Essos. There's something else. You can help me out, chat. There's something else in Westeros that's fused stone. So
cool to see, though.
Toad Island, aka China. You're right. I was looking at the chat.
I like someone in the chat just kind of said like Gary's like the maester of us four, I guess.
I'll get names mixed up once in a while. Like when I was freshly reading the books, I could recite anything from them. I read them so much. It's the 5 forts, not the 4 forts. It's the 5 forts. It's 5. Read World of Ice and Fire. That one's got good illustrations in it too. Okay, so this is Aegon and Aemond, big characters that are going to come up. And yeah, I can't say much. I'm just glad we finally met them. And it seemed like Aegon was nice to his little cousins. Like he seemed pretty nice to them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it also seems like he's, just wants to go out and party, and he doesn't want to be king at all.
Oh, dude,
yeah. Like his dad.
They had that shot where he's just looking at the girls instead of focusing on the fight, and it's just like, yeah, that's humans for you.
Uh-huh. So we move ahead to little Aemond doesn't have a dragon yet, and they played a prank on him, and they brought out a pig, and he got pissed. So he decided to go in. I don't know what dragon that is, but he decided to go in and see if he can see a dragon. He got the shit scared out of him. Foreshadowing something, though. It's foreshadowing something. Then
I love that we got to see the inside of the pit, though.
Yeah,
that was kind of cool.
Well, when he just starts staring down at that staircase in the darkness, I was like, "This is kind of creepy, actually." Like, just dragons down there.
I like.
I was wondering, like, he seemed to have walked down when the I don't know, the dragon keepers would have still been in eyesight, and I was just like, is anyone going to stop him? I guess not. Okay.
Very progressive with the dragon keepers, by the way. That's probably not that unusual.
Probably not. I almost feel like other people have compared them to a brotherhood. I almost feel like they may have been their own race dating back to Valyria, where this is what they did generation after generation.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a specialized.
Well, remember, yeah, and like one of the plot threads in the Song of Ice and Fire is trying to get all their info because was it Baelor the Blessed or the Citadel? I can't remember. Somebody destroyed all the dragon books, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So the Citadel has them under lock and key, and that's why there's probably a faceless man who snuck into the Citadel towards the end of A Feast for Crows. That's maybe what he's looking for, a way to kill him.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's part of the thing is all this information that we're seeing with these people taking care of the dragons. That's all lost by the time we get to, Robert Baratheon and stuff. So this model of Valyria, if they made a Lego, that would be the only Lego I'd probably
Yeah, it's gotten much, much bigger. Like looks to be 3 times bigger.
Yeah.
That's cool though.
It is. And I like that Viserys has got his little hobby that he's just trying to get busy with. He's just like,
got his
"Here I
action
am."
figures and his dioramas. I can
Yeah.
relate.
Makes
Oh,
it
that's
more
a little bit-
relatable. I love
Oh.
Viserys. I was like,
I love him
Oh.
too. I feel bad.
I was a little bit concerned about him last time because it had cobwebs all over it. So now he's gotten some help, I see.
Yeah. He's got Eddard. Eddard.
yeah, Eddard. I was like,
Remember Eddard?
It is a thing. I think even people, because I think a super chat just came in asking if Aemon is the same Aemon from the Wall in Game of Thrones. It's like, this is 150 years prior to Game of Thrones at this point.
Oh, that's Aemon. This is Aemond.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, like, it would be impossible anyway. It's
It would
we shouldn't be seeing anyone from Game of Thrones yet.
No, Aemon from the Wall will be in the Dunk and Egg series if there's a Dunk and Egg series, because he's the brother of Aegon V. So who is Egg? Yeah, so Alicent comes in and goes, yeah, her kids are bastards, basically. And he's like, this is where he knows. He's like, you know what you bring in. Like, okay, let's play. If I was him, I'd have gone, let's play this all the way through. Young Alicent, my second wife. I would, this would tear the realm apart. This would be a bloody civil war of the likes you would never have never seen. But she doesn't.
And I want to highlight, because I love to highlight this. There are 2 instances in this episode of a person using an analogy to benefit their situation or their argument, and then the person they say it to points a hole in their analogy, and they are like, fuck. Meanwhile, Rings of Power just doesn't let anybody talk about this stupid analogy.
Because the answer would be, that doesn't make any freaking sense. What are you talking about?
No, they would just say the sea is always right.
Yeah.
The sea is always right.
On the ground.
Yeah, in this scene, Viserys talks about to make it nice and simple. Let's just say, like, the horse and another horse make a horse that you wouldn't expect, and then she's like, "Did you see them have sex though?" And then he's like, really? Like the point of my story was not that.
The point of my story is, yeah, he says that at the end. He's like, "Let it go."
Yeah.
Like let it freaking go.
It's not going to end well for you.
It's not going to end well. It's kind of like when Kristen Cole was saying, "Run off with me, Rhaenyra." She should have said yes. She should have said yes.
Would have been best thing for the kingdom and for her too, because she seems to be not very happy, and she's just screwed it up even more.
And if Viserys knew that she was happy with that decision, he probably would have been like, "Okay."
That's what,
like,
that's what Alex would have said.
She could also have had him killed. What is the problem?
There's a tempest in me. So he basically tries to tell her to let it go. She does not. Of an allegation like this one, like the one here, I'll try to play it a little bit. Oh wait, kill that sound.
Just stick to like 5 seconds at most, and you'll be fine.
Or would be dire. Basically, that's it.
Yeah, which is I feel him saying, yeah, I know, but we can't. We can't and we won't, you know.
Zip it. Yeah,
bad juju for everybody.
That works with wives all the time.
And yeah, that she's walking out with Cole at that point, and that's when he. Yeah. Oh God, what a reintroduction! Is beautiful.
Oh my God, this is great. This is so good.
Like, this is a good frame, actually. It's yeah. Do you want to, if you can roll it back like even a couple of seconds, if we can get the subtitle to show what he says, because even I was just like, wow, that was great.
She expects everyone in the Red Keep to deny the truth, and then he basically, dude, what he says afterwards. Hang on. Oh wait, I can't show that.
You can't show that bit.
Yeah,
you might
just you might need to play it to get the subtitle, because
a spider who stings and sucks her prey dry. And then he
which is just like, Jesus Christ, he's not gotten over it at all.
He's a little hurt.
Nope.
He's a little hurt.
A spoiled cunt.
So what's beautiful about this isn't just that line is fantastic. It's they stop. We get to enjoy the moment for a while before anything is said additional to that. Like,
Yeah. And
like,
he was like,
we both kind of hate Rhaenyra, but dude,
yeah. And he's like, look, I'm sorry, even though we know it's true, but he's like, yeah, maybe
A little too far. A little bit too far.
The thing is, though, from what she did to him, yeah, I can see why he feels that way.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
And you know, it's a decade, so yeah, his feelings toward her are just nil at this point. In terms of like, there's nothing stopping him from just ripping into it now, which feels like a good progression. Feels like that's where he'd be.
It's very natural for sure.
Well, also because he's been seeing what's been going on. She has been sleeping around, fathering obvious bastards, and
there's a chance Alicent may have actually told him at this point that she didn't even call him in for him and that it was Daemon. So if he knows about the Daemon potential himself and Strong,
that he was just the second.
He was just
option,
another guy,
just the fling that she wanted to.
Which,
have fun
with. They say hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. What about a man scorned?
Yeah, like you were just there to as mop up, basically. Oof. Oh.
And it is
honestly,
interesting.
I know a lot of guys, maybe even me when I was younger. Whatever.
Whatever.
It is interesting to look at the perspective of someone who's observing this but doesn't necessarily have the power to do anything about it. Here's the princess who's clearly, cheating on her husband, fathering bastards and pretending like it's all okay and everything. It's like this would undermine the realm and cause massive problems, and she's just going about happy to make the situation worse because now it's the third child, which is so clearly not the husband's. Yeah, you could see how people would be like, this princess is just awful.
Yeah, which is, I think that's what we're seeing that I just enjoy, is just the subtlety is less and less and less, to the point where it's like, whoa, guys, do I need to remind you that's treason? You can joke, but that is legitimate treason. Like, you can't do that. And they're like, yeah, but we all know. And it's like, yeah, I know we all know. We can't say it. That's pretty much Viserys' point. And you even get a little bit of that here. It's like, yes, she is that, but don't say it. Like,
no,
out loud.
And people will continue to say it, and well, you just have to see what happens. You'll just have to see. So I'm gonna have to unshare the screen for a minute just to get past the somebody.
That's fair enough. That's no problem.
The Homelander moment.
I'm gonna wank in a window. And that's Aegon. All right. I can find a safe picture. That's a safe picture. That's a good one.
There's been a couple of people, I'm assuming, who haven't watched the episode asking who is the father of the kids. So that'll be why am I forgetting his name? Strong.
Sir Harwin Strong.
Harwin Strong,
which was like heavily implicated in the books, but like after Kristen Cole had sex with Rhaenyra and we saw it, that they never said in the book, there were some of us who going, man, what's the timing with this? Like, maybe she'll have her first kid? But obviously she took the moon tea. Obviously she drank it and it worked. Doesn't always work.
So Chad has kind of been saying, she's not really cheating the princess, and the children are as much Targaryens as anyone else's. It's a matter of legitimacy, and also the fact that especially that her real husband is supposed to be heir to this massive, powerful house and everything like that, and the children that are not his are going to supposedly inherit that. That's what makes it illegitimate, and it causes issues. It causes massive issues. So even if it was with the permission of the husband, it's selfish because she should know, and I think she does, but doesn't care, how damaging this would be to her children's claim to the throne and how it could make everything unstable or all that crap.
And if I could bolster Shad as well, if you guys remember in Game of Thrones, the big reveal Ned finds is reading the history of the Baratheons, and he says black of hair, Joffrey Baratheon, blonde, or I'm not sure if gold of hair, I think he says. And obviously that's him realizing, oh shit, it's not a Baratheon kid, it's a Lannister kid. Just the hair color, right? So yeah, I'm assuming the point being made is just wow, Rhaenyra, this is really, really, really overt. Like there's not going to be a single person who couldn't figure it out. And that if your goal, because I understand the argument, if your goal was to satisfy the duty, you at least want to satisfy the look of the duty, right? If you're going to go as far as actually having the kids. But you know, you can still just get to a point where it's stagnated and she continued to fool around. And she's managed to roll the dice pretty unluckily with all three of them looking distinctly Strong's kid.
And she definitely had a type, right? Because like if she just wanted to shag and have a kid, all she had to do was scrape the island that Dragonstone has a bunch of Valerians.
She could have picked one that might have gotten the look right.
I'm assuming even Laenor. Yeah, I don't know. There's too many names. Laenor would have been good at. Surely he could, you know, every once in a while, maybe.
Worked it out.
Worked it out. He could have tried a bit harder.
He can think of someone else while getting the job done. That's fine.
There were rumors that she did, in fact, participate with him and his lovers.
Yeah.
So that was out there. So it's a possibility, but apparently she didn't have.
Those were mushroom rumors, though.
Yeah.
And also think about the notion of succession and legitimacy, right? Her claim was already weak being a woman, and then she expects the realm to accept children that are clearly bastards to inherit the throne, when on the other side, you have the king's firstborn son available.
And
he
really seems legit too.
Exactly. And so from the outside perspective, who do you think the people are going to see as, you know, the more legitimate claim? Because it was weak, because it was a woman already, and now it's like just shattered because they're obviously bastards.
Here's the fucked up thing too. Remember, like there's Daemon. Daemon's out there.
Yep.
And they were so worried he would be Maegor the Cruel that they like conspired and fucked him over. And you know,
now look where they are.
Exactly.
So
I was going to say, by the way, Chad, highlighting the color, the hair, and the nature of like the coming likelihood of a civil war. I was just like, I want Otto's opinion on all this right now. I want him to be here just to talk about it.
We'll find out.
So interesting thing, like in terms of painting a contrast to make it even more obvious, like look at Daemon's children, because he's married to, you know, the sister, and they clearly have the look of the mother versus the princess, and it's like, we have one like it gives us a kind of a point of reference that the children should probably be looking one way, and they certainly don't.
Well, that was a bizarre casting choice too. Those girls, I just don't understand the genetics at play.
Yeah, they weren't looking that hard into it. They just and that's the kind of thing
which is interesting when it's integral to the plot line. Like it's incredibly important because it's all about succession and believability of the children being the children of the parents. Yeah, you know,
there's
a word be a little bit more careful.
Robert Meyer Burnett likes to use that I think is very appropriate, that he even himself ignores sometimes. It's called verisimilitude. It's how much you buy into something, like how real this thing is. I mean, if it's just some freaking silly Saturday morning thing, this is Game of Thrones. Like everything, like as far as quality, especially like big budget tentpole TV goes, this is probably one of the highest quality that's out there right now. Not counting some dramas, I'm sure that people like Succession. Right? I don't watch that stuff. But as far as like genre entertainment, this is like the pinnacle right now. Like they're the attention to detail is pretty fucking good, especially with the story. But then when they do something like that, it just stands out like a sore thumb. It does.
It does.
And to deny it is silly at this point. So Allison explains to her son, who was just jerking off in a window, for everybody to see. I mean, why not? I would worry about falling. That'd be a bad way to go.
Probably, it's believable that he might be doing that because whatever.
He died jerking off out of a window. Well,
he died doing what he loved.
He died as he lived.
They wrote so many songs of his great conquests.
Well, he got caught by his mom because she didn't knock, and then she gives him a little speech that you're going to be king. You need to be ready. Rhaenyra could put you to death. You need to take life more seriously. You're almost a man grown, and a man grown in Westeros is like 13, just so you know. And that's her speech. And he like he looks shocked by it, and like I don't want this. This is not what I'm looking for. So then we get
we see the dragon for the first time.
Aegon, yeah.
I did like this scene.
It was wait, sorry. Well, Jane, do you want to go first, or
No, I really enjoyed seeing this the dragons. That's why I'm here. So seeing Vhagar was absolutely amazing.
I got a really distinct impression of this. This is an ancient and powerful dragon. This is an old dragon. It was. I think they did a good job of that. People have mostly been approving of. I forget the name, but Daemon's dragon as well, right? Because it's very distinct as well.
Yeah, Daemon's dragon is it Syrax or is that Rhaenyra?
I think Rhaenyra's was.
I can't remember now.
Yeah, Rhaenyra's was this Syrax with an S?
Syrax. And Daemon's is come on, help me chat.
Caraxes,
yeah. This one, look how fucking big that is, though.
It's huge.
That is massive.
So they set up in this scene.
I was going to say really quick, even the wing there in that shot, you got all those little holes and just the wrinkles, and it looks like a so much more tired wing that's had. I don't know. I really like the detail in trying to make the dragon so distinct from all the younger ones we've seen.
And they set up like, even if you don't know, external Game of Thrones lore, and I'm not sure if it's actually accurate or not, but Dracarys seems to be the word to tell the dragon to shoot fire. It comes up in this scene. I think it was a previous scene, because there's a Dracarys command a bit later on that it gets repeated a bit, and because they set it up, you know exactly what she's saying. It's like,
yeah, we had it in the opening scene for the kids with their dragons. We have it here, and you're right. Yeah, just I think that's deliberate to make sure we understand before a bigger payoff happens.
Well, this is foreshadowing something else too.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, they did that well. I think
they did it very well. I wish I could show more action from it, because Daemon flying through the fire, which not every Targaryen can do, by the way. They're not all fireproof. That's a Daenerys thing in the show. I mean, she survived hatching her eggs in the beginning because it was blood magic. It's that Targaryens aren't like fireproof. So
well, they made her fireproof. They made her heat proof as well, specifically, right?
Yeah. Well, apparently they can also breathe really high in the atmosphere too. So they're fine. So Daemon, this is just Daemon in Pentos. They're at a manse outside of Pentos. So we didn't get to see Essos. It's just inside of a manse. So this is like a Magister. This is like Magister Illyrio from season 1.
And the show is good in not like spelling everything out. And so I'm not saying it should, but it does make me like, wonder what brought him into this place in time now, because I thought he was going to be inheriting his wife's fortune.
Yeah.
And
actually,
they don't really explain it.
I had a different interpretation of that from, and to be fair, I don't think this was my own idea, because I watched a couple of channels who break this stuff down afterward. And I think him talking about his inheritance, and Gary, you're going to actually be the one to, whether or not you want to back this up, and Jane, I suppose. I forget the name of him. It would have been Royce, right? Yeah. So he, by saying, I'm accusing you of blah, 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 it's very strong. He said a couple of things. A mention of flying, so it's the dragon. Keep that in mind. Secondly, like what you're doing is easy to punish in King's Landing. Just it alone, whether or not it's even true. But thirdly, mentioning the inheritance that guy is actually expecting he would have, because the video I was watching said that he would theoretically have been next in line, or he would have thought he was, but he realizes there that actually the better claim would have been his surviving husband. And so it's more of a like, fuck with me, and I can even take what you likely have in coming to you if I want to. But I don't think Daemon actually wants to take what was coming to him in the Royce side of the the country or whatever. I think, but I actually think Rashad's raising a fair question of I'm not entirely sure how Daemon got here from where we last saw him as well. I could speculate, especially with he seems discomforted here.
Yeah. And I think the show wants us to speculate, and there's probably a number of valid reasons, but they don't explain it. And so it does just put that question in the air, because now they're making it a plot point that this offer is basically saying that they seem to not have any massive holdings or lands to their own name, which is interesting.
They don't. And in the books, they weren't really supposed to get married. They just got married. They just hooked up without the king knowing or anything. So to avoid his brother's wrath, he bailed. They bailed. They went on a little tour and they went to Essos and they flew around. But they also it was kind of a free spirited thing. This is before they had a bunch of kids, right?
I think, is that what we're supposed to gather from this, is that he really did follow his whole, I just want to do whatever I want to do. And then he actually ended up finding himself a family man. And he was like, wait a minute, is this what I actually want? Is that what we're learning this episode? Is that it's because she comments on how it's he's just not happy here.
He's not, but he liked her a lot.
Yeah.
He did really like her.
That's what I mean. His free spirit of this girl, I like her. I'm gonna have time with her. Oh, we had a kid. Oh, and another one, and I'm taking care of them, and we're settling. Almost is whoa. Actually, I'm not sure if because
we did try to establish in the last episode that she does, in fact, share that free spirit, as you say, with him, and that is why they ended up together. And like you said, touring the world essentially, but they did not explain how he lost his holdings that he should have probably inherited from his wife.
Well, in the book, I'm going to go back there again, but in the book, Lady Jane Eyre denies him of those holdings.
Yeah.
So
I would like to have seen that. Maybe it was too much.
It could have been a throwaway line. I think we could have, because like I said, if I speculate to the point of saying I don't know that he even cared to have them, I still think we probably should have had that.
If he's it looks like he didn't care.
Runestone, right?
Yeah, Runestone, entitled to Runestone, which is in the Vale of Aaron.
And so if somehow that came, using our standard writing skills, we could bring up Runestone casually in the middle of some other conversation. Then he says, I wouldn't want that dirty rock or something like that, just as we go, okay.
I mean, he pretty well established he didn't like it there.
No, that's true. I think he had negative things to say about it in general every time it came up.
So he gets a pretty good offer here. It's like, hey, help us fight off against Volantis, and we'll give you a manse and everything. And then Laena says, hey, we're just accepting gifts. And Daemon says, isn't it great? It's really straightforward. Fight for us and I'll give you this thing. And he's got a point.
It's a simple transaction. It's like
and not to get ahead of the episode, but it does seem like when we put what we saw of him in totality in the episode together, it's like in this scene he seems tempted by this offer. The one that pushes back the most is his wife. Perhaps that won't be an issue now, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, she seems the one who's least in favor of this whole idea of settling down, let alone settling down in Essos.
I wonder if I'm not going to say what the end is, but I'll ask James because she knows what the end is. Do you think they'll change it for Daemon?
I wonder. So far, from what we've seen, they've been making very slight changes.
Yes.
So I do think it will be something we haven't seen and don't expect.
Yeah, I think they will too, in some way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, saying good night to my wife. Hi, Nerdrotic. Hope all is well. Shout out to the panel. Enjoyed tonight's episode. I have a newfound respect for childbirth, and Succession is a great show. Show respect. Take care, guys. Kenneth Dowling for $10. There you go. Thank you. Yeah, I had an instant respect once I was in there.
Yeah, when you go through one, it's like, yeah, all right, I get it. I understand.
Gotcha. So, speaking of childbirth, we get another one later. But
are we at the scene? We're almost there.
not there yet, but it's setting it up. She's clearly, with child.
Oh no, I meant because he flashed it for a second.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go right there. I mean, basically, Daemon said if Daemon finds out that Rhaenyra has another kid, then he goes, "Wow, does it look like a certain captain of the Gold Cloaks that I know really well, named Larys Strong?"
Yeah, it's just fun lines.
Fun lines. Oh, they get so much better too.
Alrighty, my favorite scene.
I didn't like this at all.
Oh, really?
I loved it.
Didn't like it at all.
No,
Oh,
I thought he was just too hard on the kids. It's not their fault.
Oh, you don't. So wait, just to help me out, do you think it was a good scene, or do you just not enjoy it?
No, it was a good scene in terms of how it was structured, and it is consistent with the character and where he is and his mindset and what he's trying to accomplish. I just didn't like how he went about it.
Oh, he's a dick.
He was a dick. Yeah,
Kristen Cole is a dick. He is a dick now.
He's evolved. He's
evolved.
He has.
And yeah, like that's probably the one thing that's a little like Rhaenyra's really different. Allison really and Kristen Cole is really different. But he's got a nickname. He's got to earn this nickname. Not going to tell you what it is. You'll probably find out by next 2 episodes from now. I think next episode you find out.
I think I may have seen it in chat, but I will remain blissfully ignorant for now.
Yeah.
He is ruthless.
He is ruthless.
Well, it's interesting how it plays out because he's not necessarily cruel to begin with. He's just neglecting them, not giving them the attention and training. And then, so Strong is like, oi, why don't you give attention to the other ones? And that's where he's like, he doesn't. Well, all right, if you really want me to. And what he sets up.
There's I have so much to praise about this scene in terms of they have so earned their work here. They've put everything in. It's like, so what is the dynamic? You've got the King Viserys in his hand, just watching the kids sparring, the kids of his own kids and his daughter's kids. They're all just doing a standard training thing, just like you see in Game of Thrones episode 1, right? Well, the Starks are training with each other. It's like, oh, what a nice and wholesome thing that's happening. Like, yes, but think about it for a second here. It's like, if Lionel is even vaguely aware of what's been happening with his son and thing, which I think he is at this point, but what changes his mind in terms of his scenes later on is everyone else's awareness of it. But point being, he's like, we catch a tight up shot of him, I think, smiling. And I think that the implication is just that he's really happy to see everyone's flourishing with the knowledge he has as well. Viserys is obviously happy because everyone's his family. They seem to be doing good. He's done his job. He had worries he wouldn't have been able to, and I just love seeing that man satisfied because he's suffered enough. Look at him.
I know, poor guy.
And then Kristen Cole is watching over them and teaching them, and it's like, oh, that's kind of interesting considering how much resentment he has for the mother of 3 of these children and how they were created. Like, so that's playing into it. But then simultaneously across the yard, you got their actual dad watching all of this unfold as well, and Kristen Cole's investment in the actual the royals who he considers to be, because he values the systems in place in this world, the honor, the respect. So you got all this happening, and it's just like, it's just a sparring scene. What could possibly go wrong? It's fine. But once you have all that context and weight on top of it, you're like, oh god, this is like a powder keg. Actually,
this is like really awkward, man. Woo. So yeah, bitter rivals over a woman. The bastards are with the trueborns. And they're fighting each other, and King Viserys just like, isn't it great? The boys just being boys out there. It's awesome. Lionel's all
trying his best to see the good. It's fine. Everything's on fire, but it's okay.
That is literally the scene. Yeah, it's the little dog in the burning house. But yeah, I mean, so the way it progresses is just that he's teaching the trueborns good stuff, and then the other kids getting ignored, and then he says, "Fine, we'll put the eldest of the 2 groups together," and it's completely unfair, and obviously it's funny. I'm trying to describe this in a quicker way than instead of using their actual names, and then I was like, I guess the kids of the strong kid versus the trueborn kid.
So the oldest one is Luke.
Okay, so Luke and Aegon fight, right? And Aegon
and Luke probably
before that happens, so Cole gets both of the true, born like heirs. I'm getting confused with the names too, but he gets them both to fight him at once. And if you just want to comment on like the choreography is basic, but it makes sense that these kids aren't going to be good. And even with them not being good, he still uses some more like logical swordplay maneuvers where they overswing and he lets them, go past him and he takes advantage of the opening and stuff. Just small little cuts where he easily pushes one aside or knocks both out of the way. It's like, wow, this is basic stuff. I wouldn't praise it from a competence point, but in terms of Rings of Power, it's night and day in terms of just what's believably happening.
Yeah. I even got to say, I was going to ask Shad to know if this was unfounded or not, but I don't know if this is a part of the development of him, but he even seemed, I got the impression that when he was doing it to the two kids that he's actually relatively fond of, that he was still kind of being a dick to them. Like he was kind of enjoying it. Like this seems to be Cole's character now, that he's kind of a dick. He's kind of a dick and he enjoys it. I'm
rewatching it just here, and he actually is smacking him with the wooden sword. And by the way, they're training with wooden swords. Makes sense. Rings of power. What do they trade with?
Rings of power.
Rings of power. But there's one moment where he slaps one of the boys aside, the other one overcommits, and he lets him swing and just smacks him behind him. And so, like, he's not being too gentle with them there, but I think they're deserved kind of hits. Just like pay attention, and it's that attention where Cole is actually sparring with the two, true heirs, even though they're not the actual. Anyway, we know.
I'm a bit surprised that Aegon took it so far. I mean, he seemed to be friends with the other kids.
Yeah,
I think the implication was the goading from
Kristen Cole,
right?
Yeah. Cole is actually pushing him. Yeah, Cole. His words were like, press him. First he says, close with him, press him backwards, use your feet, and that's when the boy even kicks him.
And he even says at one point, like, don't let him get back up.
When
he's getting really serious. Yeah, I think that's what.
In front of the king.
Yeah. Well, they even show some shots of Viserys being like, "Whoa, now, hang on, like this doesn't seem very." That's the thing. Cole pushed it as to a very close limit of where other people would have stopped him. But Cole's goal this whole time is to piss off Strong.
Yep.
Well, interesting. Like I'm rewatching it, right? And when Cole grabs the younger boy and he says, "All right, to the eldest boy son against the eldest son," Alicent's son, he goes past the bastard kid and he actually pats him on the back like, "Hey, this is going to be fun, isn't it?" And so going into it, he thinks it's going to be a fun match, but then he gets pushed and goaded by Cole to go even further.
There's one thing that I just straight up laughed at as well, Gary. I think you would have heard me, but when Strong is first complaining that this is not very good, and he's picking up the wooden swords, and then Cole, while delivering, I think, a criticism, just drops the other one next to him as if to like pick that up too. It's this sort of thing, just like, oh, you asshole. So there's little details. I love them.
And it's a very well done scene. When the two are sparring, so Strong, he's watching, he's invested. He doesn't like that his own son is getting, short end and stuff, but he can't say too much. And it's very well done. And of course, Cole is egging him on. But the thing is, right, the younger boy, he's not terrible. He holds his own for a bit.
Yeah. Even for a moment there, it seems like he might get a win if he can just get a blow that knocks over Aegon or something, but it doesn't quite go that way.
It definitely shows his skill and his bravery.
Yeah. Well,
which also will become important later.
You're getting an idea of like what their personalities are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it gives a good setup for their training that these kids will probably grow up to be, they got some potential to be some badasses. So.
But yes, just to clarify, dare I say politically or rank, you've got, he's the leader of the City Watch, right? Strong?
Yeah.
And then you've got Cole is
King's Guard.
Yeah,
a little more prestigious.
He's not Lord Commander though, right? He's like
not Lord Commander,
but still incredibly high rank.
Was Graham McTavish in this one? I think he was. Graham McTavish is the Lord Commander right now. I forgot what it's Westerling, Sir Harold Westerling. But yeah, it's still, you can't, like, you start fighting a Kingsguard, the other Kingsguard are going to come in and pummel you, right?
Yeah.
And gold cloaks are not as well trained, and the Kingsguard are usually like best of the best knights that are second sons or something that you don't need to carry your house forward, and that could create succession problems. So they take a vow of, like, just like the Night's Watch, they can't have sex, but they do.
Yeah, just in case anybody was trying to follow the event. So he pissed off Strong just enough to actually make him. He starts punching the shit out of Cole. And there was a shot I was looking for, and I got it, where Cole is just smiling.
Yeah, I know. The line is really, really important to what he actually, accuses him of. Because what happens is Cole doesn't stop Aegon from bashing down on the other boy, and is about to do a finishing blow up there. And that's when Sir Strong comes in and stops him. And Cole's line is like, "Hey, you dare put your hand on the prince?"
Yeah.
And then he tries to say, "It's like, you went too far. This is how you train the boys through cruelty." And then Cole is like, you forget yourself. But then is like, you're a bit more invested in the boys than you'd expect, basically.
Kind of like,
and then he's like,
uncle or a brother
or a son.
Or a son.
And yeah, he just goes straight away after that one.
Say it again.
And you can see why he would snap, but also you're right. This would be the admission right here of that.
Yeah.
If anyone was doubting, it's like, oh boy, he snapped at that line, accusing him of, having interest in them like a son.
But he could have accused him back, though. That's the thing. He had an opportunity there to say a line back to him about his involvement with the princess.
You think the princess might have pillow talk, maybe?
She maybe I could believe that she wants to convince any one of her concubines that they're special. She tried to kind of with Cole before she realized he's not interested in being, as he put it, a whore.
Never do that. They never, like, you're the most special one, Bill. I mean, John.
But yeah, just I don't know. I was very satisfied with the scene ending, so I was just like, man, Kristen, that was well executed, my friend.
And he doesn't fight back. Like, Kristen could, he's a badass, and he just lays there and takes it, which is intentional.
He knows with every punch it's worth even more exponentially. It's just like, go right ahead.
Oh, and it ends up leading to a very bad decision at the end of the episode. Like, really does. A couple of bad ones. And some opportunities.
So this scene made me think of something that I think has been getting to me in this show, and I think there's probably like 15 references at this point. People have conversations a little too candidly for my taste. They are saying incredibly sensitive things in a lot of open areas, and I've always I always think of one scene in particular, when Varys first tries to talk very seriously to Ned as he's doing the bullshit stuff. Like, oh, how is everything? Slowly moving around the room and closing all of the windows. And then the last shot of him closing the door and looking at the King's Guard as he does. Because he's just making sure he notes where everyone is before he says the things that are important. And then you have fast forward to season 8 where Varys will like talk about killing the queen without even checking anything. Just like it absolutely blew. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. And so I don't like to see it in this show where several characters talk about incredibly sensitive things and they have no clue if anybody's within earshot. But sometimes they're doing it while walking through places where everyone's listening. And I'm just like, please, just don't do it like that.
You like the house staff, right? You never want to talk in front of them because usually one or two of them is on the Master of Whispers payroll.
Well, they kind of do that with Alicent's scene with Larys, where a little servant girl walks in and she's like, "Not now, get out of here," and then they continue. So there's at least one moment where they
can argue this was clumsy because of emotion.
No, this is the thing. I think you can make arguments like that for a couple of them. I want to see I would like to see a little more effort from to convince me that these characters are aware of how much this information can destroy them.
Right.
Because even the one where the woman walks in and they're like, oh, not now. Even that one, I was like, Man, she
She
could have
coulda
been
heard some of
listening. She
that.
could have been listening through the door the whole time. You guys had no idea.
Good point. Good point.
So the flimsy shield alone stands between you and the headsman. And this is the scene from the trailer where he's like, people have eyes, right? So
Mhm.
you find out Lionel Strong, he either knew and just like, oh my God, I hope my big son doesn't fuck up. And he did.
Yeah.
And now he has to, this leads to something drastic.
I'm inclined to believe he was aware and was just enjoying the peace that came with it, luckily. But he now knows it's gotten to critical, and this he's kind of in the same position Otto was, as I think was something we were all going to talk about, because I find it fascinating to think about. The echoing they do in this show is really cool,
Mhm.
and yeah, it's the same as Christian Cole, where he sort of confessed to Alicent in episode 5 because he thought, I got to get ahead of this. I got to take as much control as I can while I can before it all unravels. I think Lionel felt the same way at this point. He's like, clearly this is coming out. What should I do while I can still do something?
Now, maybe I'm misinterpreting this scene. This is the one that annoyed me a little bit. Because she's, he comes in with his boyfriend, then they dismiss him. This is Laenor Valerian. And he's like, yeah, oh man, good news. There's war in the Stepstones again. We can go out and fight. I'm a warrior. That's what I want to do. And she's like, no, you don't understand. Like something really bad happened today.
Right.
And there's a lot of whispers going around. And she basically says, we've had this agreement and I'm cool with it, but here comes the big but. You need to stay here now. And like I was waiting for him to say, well, you're the one like who decided to have sex and babies with Larys Harwin Strong that everybody's going to know about. I mean, that's your decision.
Exactly.
And hey, that's the consequence of living in this world. But she commands him to stay so he doesn't leave.
And he doesn't put up much of a fight. I'm not sure if this is intentional, but Laenor's just not much. He's not got much spine as a character at all.
Came off as a very weak character. It could be intentional, but yeah, he's a fop that likes to hang around with the boys, fight, drink, and because
if that's what they're going for,
been having fun for 10 years.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I thought it was fair for her to bring that up. I just felt we were weaker on the side of him retaliating, right? To say, I've made my sacrifice, I've done my duty, and it's like, you've also been fucking around. But it's like, yeah, but both of you have been fucking around. That's like the whole thing. That's the whole problem.
Now she wants a united front after she's put them in this situation.
Yep. Now it's at the 11th hour and it's too freaking late. So it also shows that she would be a freaking terrible leader.
Yeah, awful queen.
Yeah, I feel like they've done all the work to put that forward. So obviously, if she were to suddenly become a great leader, I'd be like, what the fuck?
Right.
I don't think that's where we're heading, though. I think she's gonna be bad.
Yeah.
No, you haven't played your part.
Not really. But neither of them have. That's the deal. Is like they both like screwed up. He's like the son of he is the son of a rich lord, but she also needs to understand like this lord is really important to anybody's side. Got all the ships.
She didn't seem to understand that having legitimate children with him would have further secured her claim and would have given her the freedom that she wants so much.
No, that's the thing. I don't know if it's I never quite know if it's supposed to be like dramatic irony where they are talking about how they've both like done their job when we know it's like, well, if you'd done your job, we wouldn't be heading to a civil war, would we?
Exactly.
So if we were with the showrunners right now, would they be saying like, yeah, that's the idea, or would they be saying like, well, she did do her job, and if they did, I'd be like, oh.
It's the patriarchy and the system. It's like, yeah, this is a fantasy setting set in the Middle Eastern in the Middle Ages, Middle Eastern. What's the difference?
And just if they try and pull this patriarchy bullcrap, right? The social kind of roles that men and women had in times like this, especially the medieval period, were put in place by women as much as men. Women wanted men to do these roles as much as, men did as well, because, they are vulnerable when they're pregnant. And so they need a man to take care of them and everything like that. And that creates a patriarchal system. But to say it was just men holding women down, no, women were doing that. They wanted this system in place as well because it protected them and enabled them to be able to raise children, things like that. And so to say it's this way because of men is bullcrap. They don't understand history.
No, they don't. Like how dangerous the world was. It was just a dangerous place. You can go out to milk your cow and die.
And there's also a sense of morality too. I mean, I love that Alicent, who is the sort of religious right, I suppose they're trying to make her out to be, wanted to hold Rhaenyra accountable. Like, you cannot be out here having sex with all these people outside of marriage and family and duty and honor. So I appreciate that they added that aspect, that she is the one pressing the issue here. The men don't seem to care.
I think she has the strongest foundation for her POV out of every character.
Yeah, Alicent. Yeah. Like, I'm rooting for Alicent at this point. Like,
the idea, if someone was to tell me at this point, like, oh, don't you hate Alicent? I'd be like, no. Why? Like,
yeah, she's the one going, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills here. That's
yes, because everybody is crazy. She's the only. Everyone got given the rules, and then they all fucked around, but she followed them, and now she's like, everything's on fire. Why? Because nobody else followed the rules.
Yes.
And I mean, these families, it's not for their family. It's not for like, oh, I want to have a couple of kids and hang out at Christmas. No, this is for the realm. This is to keep the realm going, to keep your family in control, to keep peace that they've had for decades now, outside of that little stepstones thing. But remember, or maybe not, before Aegon the Conqueror got to Westeros, they were fighting all the time. There was a war going on all the time. One kingdom was fighting another. Yeah, Black Heron. They bring up Black Heron. Harrenhal is this, he's from the Iron Islands, and he just carved his way through the Riverlands. And then, like, I'm going to build a bigger castle than anybody's. I'm going to do it right next to the Tullys. And they weren't joking about like putting blood in the mortar to make the castle. Like, it's and the reason it's melted is the Aegon the Conqueror, went up to his door and said, hey, you got to bend the knee to me. And the guy basically, Black Heron's like, fuck you, dude. He's all right. By when the sun goes down, your line shall end, which is a good line. I'd love to see that. And he's all, I'm in halls of stone. And he's all, well, stone melts when there's a big enough dragon. And that's what happened. It was kind of a badass scene.
I feel like there's got to be really good artist renditions of Balerion just melting Harrenhal.
There is. And it there are.
Hey.
And it glowed all night like candles when he was done. Yeah.
We also got to see, what's left of Harrenhal from a distance. And I was like, finally, let us see it.
Harrenhal's going to play a big part in this.
They showed a couple of stuff from certain distances in Game of Thrones, right? Season 2, I think. They did show a bit of Harrenhal then.
Yeah,
only the towers, really.
I saw the towers, and Tywin was in there a lot with like the second version of the mountain, because we got 3 versions of the mountain.
So I remember, yeah, season 2 Tywin is just Harrenhal Tywin, but he has good scenes in there. It's all good.
And that wasn't even supposed to be Tywin. That was changed from the books. So they're talking to Daemon here, and he's not. He's this is what we talked about earlier. He got his family life. He's got 2 beautiful daughters that don't look anything like him.
Nothing.
And hot wife. He's got a hot wife. Big ass dragons. So they got the nicest cars. They're living in a rich guy's house who's like offering them the world. Just go fry a couple, Volantines for us once in a while. And he's like, I'm still not happy. He's still not. I'm reading my histories. He's reading his books, which also kind of shows, though, he'd be kind of a good king. Kings read their histories.
That is, I thought that was deliberate too. As you were saying earlier, right? Like, we had all these worries about Daemon. And look at him right now. Like, he seems pretty chill.
He seems to be a good father. He's reading to his daughter, teaching her seems to be old Valyria language or whatever. And
But I think he's longing. He's longing for
he's definitely longing, yeah.
And
he's
sort of
bored.
spending so much time in those accounts because that's what the life he wants to live, and he can't do that right now.
She is too. She wants to go home. She wants to have her baby on Driftmark, but that doesn't happen.
No.
That doesn't happen. Then we're back to a small council scene where they talk about the stepstones again.
Remember the opening line though? It was what was this? It was funny. It was like they've been moving their border at night.
The Blackwoods and the Brackens are back at it again. And in the middle of the night, the Blackwoods moved some stones so they could,
increase their boundary,
increase their boundary and graze their animals on their place. And it's like they're definitely setting something up. And there's a Blackwood character that comes in later. That's pretty cool. The Blackwoods, Raventree is, I think it's the coolest castle. It's the one where it's the dead werewood where all the ravens come every night and just roost on it, and it looks like black leaves.
Cool.
And there's some there's like straight up, old gods magic to that place still, even though the werewood's dead. And I think they might introduce a little magic in this. We did get I can't think of her name now. Aegon's sister. She was looking at
the bugs.
She was looking at the bugs.
Something she said, which
she said that predicts somebody's fate. When Alicent is chewing out Aemond for going down and going to the dragon, and basically she says you'll put your eye out. Like that. That's not what she said, but like he's aiming.
Basically what she said.
Yeah, she said something about him losing an eye, which he does. So
that was a little bit on the nose.
Yeah, but
I don't think so. For people who didn't know that's coming, that is a random thing that she says. Like it's, but I happen to know. Like I think you've said Aemond one eye several times already, so I was just like, oh, that's okay.
I wonder if they're going to put the sapphire in his eye or just a patch. That'll be interesting.
I would hope for the sapphire.
The sapphire would be cool.
I think we've seen the patch, but what's under it?
Yeah, what's under it?
Yeah, I think anybody who isn't aware of the stuff that's going to happen, if you ask them what she meant, what that line means, I don't think they would conclude.
Yeah, I didn't know it at all. I thought she was just talking to the bugs still, because she's making observations about the bug, like it's missing legs, it has this many things.
I got the distinct impression myself, just for the character, I was like, she's weird.
Well, it also
weird in an interesting way. It's like, I wonder where they'll take her. Okay.
Yeah.
I think her description, and I have to go back and read it, but I think what she was describing about the bug also may apply to the dragons.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, that's good, Jane. Very well done.
Could it be a TV show we can rewatch and maybe find some things we like more?
Targaryens have dreams. Viserys is basically not technically a green seer, but they have visions. So not everyone, but once in a while they have a vision.
Mm-hmm.
Just like every Stark is a warg, they just don't know it. Not a lot of them don't know it. Like Ned was a warg, he just didn't know.
They didn't take advantage of that like really at all in the Game of Thrones show. We thought they would, but they didn't really.
Nope. Well, there's still the theory that Ned warged into something before he lost his head. People like to think that. I don't know if it happened though.
I would love to think that.
Well, do you remember the whole like Rob walks into his wolf and then dies again? Like,
yeah.
Like, oh man, that sucks. Anyway,
but his wolf does get to take out like a lot of Freys. That's
because it's just executed in the show, and I thought that was something they really missed out on as well.
Well, like John warging and Arya having her wolf dreams; those are huge. Like how they had them leaving all the magic out was stupid. So Viserys says, "Are we gonna ever be done with the stepstones?" And there's an argument like, "Well, we should have done something." They tried to blame Daemon.
Yeah.
Rhaenyra's like, we're the king, we're the kingdom. We're supposed to be handling this shit.
Yeah, there's a distinct. I think what we're supposed to get from this is kind of business as usual, that we have Rhaenyra and Alicent arguing over whatever the subject is. I thought it was great that they talk about the subject, that they move on to a second one, and they're moving, like they're actually getting somewhere. And then the old dude, he's just like, well, I think, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, we're not talking
We're
about
passed
that
on.
anymore.
Poor Beesbury. Yeah.
And
He's
you
like-
got Viserys, who doesn't want to be here, and so yeah, it seems these two are taking control of these discussions, and it's causing strife, obviously. Which is just microcosm of everything else that's going on between the two houses, almost.
Well, as Viserys falls apart, so does the realm. Basically, that's what they're trying to put off here, and it's not looking too good. I mean, remember, this is leading into a massive civil war, and they're trying to get us there now. Like, this is still all putting the pieces together. But once the fighting starts, it will. If people are looking for battles, there should be plenty. I don't know about this season, but like, there's gonna be some like horrific things happen. We kind of had that happen here. So Rhaenyra, knowing that she is kind of screwed, tries to make a little peace with Alicent right now.
It's absurd, though. Her proposal makes no sense. I don't know why she thought Alicent would accept that.
It seemed like a Hail Mary, right? Because she's already come to the conclusion that she's very likely going to enact Plan B, presumably. But yeah, I don't blame her for giving it a shot, I guess.
I mean, if it worked out, it's one of the best political options she could have, pulled off.
It's great for her, yeah.
I know, and I love that Viserys is like, it's a great idea. Peace, you'll be happy now. And then Alicent's like, not a chance.
I'm assuming you picked it up, but I think Viserys was hoping for an outright yes, and then she's like, we'll consider it. And his reaction of like, what? We'll consider it?
The interesting, what did you think about them switching it from Alicent making that proposal? Because in the books, she wasn't quite on board just yet at this point.
Yeah. That's going to be interesting because it comes up later.
Wait, Alicent makes the proposal in the books?
Really?
In the books?
Because obviously, help me out, because I just would have thought, like, why in the world would Alicent suggest it when she wouldn't want it at all?
That's what you would think, but for whatever reason, at this point, things begin to get hostile.
In the book, in the book, and you still feel like Rhaenyra is the one in power at that point, even though the kids are questionable.
Like she has the leverage.
She has the leverage. In the show, it's like Alicent. Like, even though she doesn't feel like she has the leverage, she does. She does.
It makes sense for the context of the show because the question of the children's parentage is so blatantly obvious. It would make sense she would have more power. Yeah, but if in the book was saying it was more questioned and Alicent had, the other one had the power. Okay,
this is how they can wiggle out of it with the book, though, Jane. It's an unreliable narrator.
Yeah,
This Maester could have had a bias towards Rhaenyra, just in like a high tower, some high tower second son screwed his mom or something like that. I don't know. Like, it could be like that's the way they get out of it. So we're actually seeing the definitive history, and quite frankly, I'm enjoying this more than I like the book. Like, I'm reading it. I'm listening to it now for the show again. But like this, it's like my third time, and like just to let you know, like I can't even count how many times I've read like A Dance with Dragons.
I've seen the sentiment from a couple of accounts saying that they, as big old book readers, that they prefer to consume this story in this format than what existed prior. Yeah,
and the fake history thing is just Tolkien. It works for me because here's a definitive. We're going to tell you how God created the world. Like, there's no like unreliable narrator. Like, this is how it happened. But like when it's George just self-congratulatory circle jerk. Personally, that's the way I see it. And it delayed the book I actually wanted. Total resentment. I'm being just my bias. It's fucking horrible. And remember, he didn't shake my hand.
Gary's Kristen Cole now.
I am Kristen Cole. No,
the selfish.
I understand. It was just so blatant, right? So quick story. I'm on Tom Constantino watched one of my live streams back when I had 1,000 subs praising the Orville. I'm like, this show's cool. I like it. It's a cool show. So he contacts me through email and says, hey, you're going to be at Comic-Con. Come to our museum. Check out our stuff. I checked out his stuff, talked to him. We became buds. He's a really nice guy. So he like one day invites me. He's like, do you want to see the set of the Orville? We're shooting drive up here and I'll give you a little tour. So, by the way, this guy produces, edits, directs episode. Like he'll be on the camera and he'll run tours. So it's on the Fox studio. Saw the big Empire Strikes Back mural on one of the studios, which was like, I was like, oh my God, that is so fucking cool. So they take me through the set, and it's like it's a full set of the Orville, and it feels like I'm on a Star Trek set. So I'm such a Star Trek fan. I'm like, oh, this is kind of fucking cool. So and he goes, oh man, I did something else too. Booked you a tour on the same day George R. R. Martin's going to be here. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I didn't want to say anything. I'm like, I've been really critical of him, but he hasn't seen my videos. It's no big deal. It'll be fine. Sure, it'll be fine. So we do the tour. I'm like hanging out, like a couple of his, like nobody wanted to talk to me except for one of his minions was really friendly with me. So we were chit-chatting. And then everybody like lined up to say, hi to George and get a picture and stuff. And he comes by. He was on his little cart rolling around, and then he gets up, shakes everybody's hand, and I'm like in the middle, skips me, goes back and shakes everybody else's hand. I'm like, oh fuck.
Oh my God.
Like, damn. Called my wife right away. Like, he didn't shake my hand. Like, I had my hand out and everything, and he just skipped it. I'm like, oh shit. Okay.
So he knew who you were then, or
because he must like keep tabs to have known who you were, Gary. He must keep tabs of commentary around the whole stuff.
Yeah, he does that instead of finishing the books.
I was shocked, dude. I was like, whoa, damn. Okay. Well, I mean, if he did see the videos, then I don't blame him. I just didn't think he saw the videos. He just says the story. Like,
you gotta wonder.
I could tell my kids that one and just be that. Yeah.
You gotta wonder how it would have gone though if, as he stepped past you, you go, "Oh, excuse me, you forgot me," just to see if he would be like,
"Oh, if I would gone, my hands out too, buddy."
Oh, easy mistake to make. I know you're getting old. Here you go.
Yeah. And he just looks at Gary and says, F you.
I know. And I would have gone, finish the fucking book. Just whisper to each other like Allison did, like, maybe someday you'll finish that book, son of a bitch. No, I'm just kidding.
Makes, because I reckon he's probably seen my Winterfell video then, and it's like, I wonder.
Oh, he's probably seen MauLer, or his people have reported to him. It's got to be one of the. They watch. Tom Constantine found me by watching a live stream where I think I was grateful, very grateful at the time. I think 100 people were watching. So the producer of the Orville found me that way. So I, hey, maybe George is like watching, like, we're turning him right now. He's liking the show.
Hey, George.
Hey, George, finish the books.
Yeah. One of the theories is that because people sent him my Winterfell video, right? Like they added him and stuff and tried to get his attention to it. He didn't mention anything, and because there's the theory that he's a bit embarrassed about the size scales he gave to the castles and the wall in the book because they are way too big to what he had in his mind, but the actual numbers he put down, because my Winterfell model is as big according to the scales he gives in the book, and it might be way bigger than he envisioned or thought, but it's according to the description. And he just might have been, I don't know, not like the fact that it shows a contrast or difference.
That's a good video, though. I call him a lazy bastard and say he should finish the book.
This is the thing, right?
That's a little harsher than getting your. I mean, I think he would enjoy your video. There is an argument to be made. I know Preston loves me, but Preston Jacobs. That's another guy I didn't know who. If I knew he was, but then he called me out in a video. So that's. But there's a lemon tree in the background. When Larys is talking to Alicent Hightower in the Godswood, and I agree with Preston. I think that was a straight up like Lemon Gate thing. Preston's the one who's like really pushed the Lemon Gate theory with Daenerys. Daenerys isn't a Targaryen. She is just one of the Valerians that they found on Dragonstone, and they made her a Targaryen. That's the theory. Not saying it's right or anything, but showing like lemon trees in the background just painted. I thought I would agree with his assessment.
You referencing the fact that all she remembers of her younger age was a lemon tree.
Was a lemon tree? Yes. Okay. A red door and a lemon tree.
Yeah.
And the whole theory is she grew up in Bravos. Bravos is way up in the north, and a lemon tree wouldn't grow there.
Yeah.
So she didn't grow up in Bravos. That's the theory, is she grew up somewhere else, maybe Dorne, somewhere else where lemon trees grew, which means she wasn't a Targaryen. But we have a fake Targaryen already in the book, so I don't think we're going to have two. Back to this show, though.
Yeah. So anyway,
I thought this scene was great. I like the small council scene. I like the effort to like make peace with Alicent. Alicent's like, you had your chance, bitch.
And it's again, I use the word Hail Mary. Like this is a big moment, because this like almost triggers Alicent into more action, I think, as well. Just that knowing like she's trying her last resort now, because she knows that the grip is tightening, sort of thing.
And it also shows her authority. The king basically says, I really want this marriage to go forward. She says, yeah, you can have it when I'm a corpse, basically. Something along those lines.
I think that's almost like her saying, I'm saying no, but I know that you could theoretically get rid of me. So you'll have to if you want it to be that way.
Showing that he is one of the nicest Targaryen kings, maybe outside of Aegon the Fifth ever, because a lot of Targaryen kings go, oh, I can arrange that pretty easily. I mean, even the religious one, Baelor the Blessed, locked his sisters up because he didn't want to be tempted with having sex with them, because he was super religious. So he just locked.
That's why I didn't really like this scene, because I felt like it was unnecessary. She doesn't really, in the books, become this hardcore invested until after he's dead.
Yeah.
So they didn't have to do this with him basically deferring to her during the council meetings and other times.
I thought it made sense. I was getting concerned with how power would work with him slowly losing more and more faculties. I think it's good to show us that Alicent has taken a full, strong role now, which I think is natural, especially considering it was episode 5. She like makes an open declaration that she's a player in the game now. Like,
they mentioned it was in passing, but Jaehaerys and Good Queen. God, what was Jaehaerys' wife's name? I want to say Alicent, but it's Alicent or something like that.
Something like
Alicent, yeah. So she ran King's Landing, and Jaehaerys ran the realm, but they co-ruled. So, like, even Viserys goes like, King's Landing has been bad since my grandmother passed, because she ran King's Landing. So they actually did a co-rule over that 50 years. So, I mean, it's there's a precedent for it. That's still
call back to that.
A lot of power. That's a lot of power from a queen. Because, I mean, how much did Robert Baratheon listen to Cersei? I mean, he was right to not listen to her. How things turned out.
That's true, but he still had zero control over like whatever she wanted to do, really, right? Because like they'd leave each other to their own devices, essentially.
That's why you don't drink. You rule sober, okay? Stream sober, rule sober. Just words solidify.
Preach.
I'm working on it, okay?
poor Lionel Strong. Like, we were trying to figure out, like, I was trying to, they talk about him a bit in the book, but they don't really flesh out the character. Now you get the character fleshed out, that this guy, like, really cared about his honor and stuff, but maybe
we haven't quite gotten there, but I'm glad he got the scenes he got in this episode, considering how the episode ends. I think that he's because he's more secondary. I think he just rose to the rank of secondary before not being secondary anymore. I like him as well. I think the actor did a really good job.
And Viserys says, like, you were greatest hand. You weren't seeking after your own desires, essentially, and stuff. And it's like, this guy seemed like he was really, really good, solid hand of the king.
Has he been, though?
I don't know. From what the show has shown,
he knows that those are not Rhaenyra's children, and he hasn't been pressing the king to take action.
Good point.
I don't know that's a complicated one, right? Because, like, would it be better or worse to make the king aware of that and the realm aware of that?
And I mean,
he still chooses not to make him aware at this point.
He's aware, though. See, Alicent says he's aware. She even says he's aware, but he just chooses not to do
That's what I'm
anything.
saying, though. What I assume what Jane was saying was like, and he chose not to say anything. Does that make him a good hand? It's like, well, I wonder if what makes a good hand is a little bit like complicated in terms of whether or not that's a good decision to make. I think he thinks it would be a bad move to reveal that right now because it just causes absolute chaos.
But I wonder if his decision making is influenced by that self-interest that Viserys has been concerned about in his hands.
I think that's fair, and that's for us to interpret at that point, right? Because Otto made the other decision, but he has the exact same criticism, and both motivations exist for Otto as well. Was Otto protecting the realm, or was Otto protecting himself? Is Lionel protecting himself here, or is he protecting the realm? Has he been protecting the realm? Has he been protecting himself? I think that both motivations could be fair for both.
I think that's true. I think that everything Otto Hightower has done, he has convinced himself it has been for the realm. I think
because like it raises the question: what course of action could be taken by multiple characters, Viserys, the Hair, and everything, to avoid the powder keg that is about to go off? Like this is really difficult to try and fix now because there are certain problems, and the king seems to be the only one who mildly has a peaceful solution, but it's not a fair or just solution in terms of being true to the traditions and honors and you know who's truly fit to rule. But he just was like, let's just not look at
let's let sleeping dogs lie.
How would you fix this situation otherwise? Like, it's impossible. It's your daughter versus your wife, who is the mother of your children, and your daughter has heirs.
It's that cupboard filled with things that you haven't looked at in forever, and you just leave it closed. You just never look in the cupboard. It's fine. When we move house, we'll move it to we'll just burn it all.
So there is something that I think Viserys he would never do, because this would permanently ruin the relationship he has with his daughter. But if he stepped up and disinherited her and says she is not my heir, my own son is the heir before he dies, if he did that, that would avoid the conflict, but then it would ruin his relationship forever with his daughter. And it's not something that he would do.
But had he taken action sooner after the first child, maybe things could have been different.
I'm sorry, bearded man. Very sorry.
Yeah. Not a good time to eat.
No.
And MauLer was watching me. I have my earphones on. This is the last thing I hear. And I'm like, oh no!
I immediately muted.
No! Oh,
I will say, once the head came out, the baby came out pretty quickly afterwards. Usually it takes a couple of pushes to finish the job, but they went through it pretty fast.
Yep. Hey, childbirth. Beautiful.
It is actually like when you see that little thing finally, out in the world, it's one of the most incredible highs. And when you hold them, oh my goodness,
life changes forever.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
It's like something else clicks in, instinctual, like there's a higher meaning for yeah. Well, you got to take care of the thing.
Absolutely.
Especially boys who eat you out of house and home. They don't stop eating. Ever. God. And they kind of smell a little bit. So still better than having girls. My God. No drama. It's nice. My poor wife, though. She's surrounded by dudes all the time.
I love my daughter with all my heart, but there is a vein of truth that daughters can cause a bit more. Everything is just more dramatic.
It is.
And I love it a bit.
You identify with Viserys.
Everyone should. He just wants chill.
Yeah, Lionel Strong wanted to resign, rightfully so. He's like, I'm compromised, dude.
Well, I like the dynamic. I don't mean to cut you. It's just because specifically that sort of you should. And then it's like they know that. It's like, well, based on what? It's like a thing I can't tell you. Well, then you don't resign. And it's like, well,
damn.
You got me. Fine.
Yeah, I know. And Allison is just like, yes, speak plainly. Come on.
Well, and ultimately, like, king gets what he wants. You don't argue with the king. You just don't. King gets what he wants. That's part of being a good, obedient servant. So he's going to escort his son, who has been fired from the Gold Cloaks, back home for, obvious reasons. Created a bit of a problem. They need to get the hell out. Plus, he's going to inherit Harrenhal, so it's time for him to learn to be a lord, which creates an opportunity that Alicent did not intend. So Alicent's frustration spilled to now. I'm guessing their friendship has been picked up from when they talked in the Godswood. So now they're friendly, and we get to see. I mean, nobody's really good in the show, but Larys Strong now is established as a complete fucking snake.
But also a complete allegiance, like a scary level of allegiance to Alicent.
This is like a blood oath.
I know, like he'll do anything almost to see this guy, because holy crap.
It seems like he's doing this, but he has his own interests in mind.
It benefits him.
Oh, absolutely. That's the way it goes with all decisions with Westeros, right? But it's just like, it's fair to say that Alicent can trust him more so than most people in terms of.
It's funny that you mentioned blood oath. Later, it comes up later.
But yeah, like he offered that, to Alicent in was it last episode, that he'll be that she needs allies and that he would be her ally, and that certainly seemed to have increased.
He proved himself to be well. It's weird how they did this. Okay, so Alicent is like, I'm at my wit's end. I'm taking crazy pills. Nobody's believing me. It's freaking obvious, and in her mind, that. I mean, it was put in there by Otto, but she's not wrong. Like Rhaenyra could one day just sit in the throne and go, kill the heirs, kill them.
Yeah.
It's happened. Yeah. It's happened in the past recently. So she could totally do that. Would she do it? Probably not. But I mean, it depends if any mom feels like her kids are in danger. And that's what this is. This is a mom going a little crazy because she's worried about her kids. And she is religious. She is. She talks about decency stuff, the religion of the seven, which Targaryens usually aren't. We have a couple of really crazy exceptions later on in the timeline. Baelor the Blessed. Tyrion likes to make fun of him a lot in the book because he swore off sex and all this stuff. And Tyrion's just like, I can't even imagine that. Like, why would you do that? But Larys, they're just having a little pie, a little wine, maybe some strong wine. This is where they dismiss the assistant coming in, and Alicent doesn't know it, but she's setting up getting Otto Hightower back. So Larys is actually not in the know. So Alicent informs him that his dad tried to resign, but didn't. Now, Larys Strong, Clubfoot. I'll call him Clubfoot. He says, well, my dad's compromised. And he's a pretty honorable guy. And then Alicent just comes out and says, my dad would have just spoken the truth to the king no matter what. And then Larys says, well, your dad was a little biased too. And she's all, yeah, towards me.
Yeah, which I enjoyed because it was just her way of saying I am desperate for a definitive ally, someone who can look after me, who I know is biased toward me. And that invites an offer.
Larys is like, I might be able
to set something up.
There's a little something.
And he doesn't say it, but we see what he does.
He is the master of whisperers now, the official master of whisperers on the small council. So he's got a place. And he goes down to the jail. He goes down to the jail. And this is a great little scene. I mean, I'm going by it fast, but this is like there's good going on.
Yeah, here. I was hooked when they were speaking here because every word was significant. I was just like, and the actor who's playing, Larys here, just hitting it out of the park.
Yeah, well cast. I was very happy. I was taken with his little speeches in this episode quite a bit.
Yeah, great performance.
Yeah, he's different than he's described in the books, but I think it's well cast for the show. I don't think it would have worked visually.
He looks like a guy that is always thinking. Has always got got a plan, and that he's very intentional about what he does. It's just that works.
And of course, he evokes Littlefinger and Varys at their best.
Yeah.
Rip some real ones. Miss you guys.
Well, that's where I'll go back to agreeing with your argument from the very first episode, MauLer, that they sat down and they're like, we cannot fuck this up. We can't fuck it up. We got one chance. And we might not even have a chance. And like, we're going to go and look at the data. We're going to go like, what did people like about Game of Thrones the most? That we can fit into this story. Unfortunately, I mean, like one of my favorite things was the White Walkers and the others, and they just never did anything with it because I thought that added such a great dimension with the politics that they actually paid attention to. That's so rare. It's like we had 2 different shows going on. George R. R. Martin wrote fan fiction, right? But it's like proper good fan fiction. It's like we're gonna put dragons in and fucking zombies and ice and fire magic, and we're gonna do politics at the same time. It might have been over ambitious since he hasn't finished the fucking books, but as a concept, right? So I think they went back and looked and said, yeah, political intrigue, we can do that. We can start with that, and there's lots of dragons, so we get half of it. So Larys Strong goes down to the black cells, the dungeon, the black cells.
Yeah, and there's a close up on the cane. He like comes into shot, and it's got like a scarab beetle or something on it.
Yeah, his cane. They want the reason they definitely wanted to show that for then to reflect the sigil his men have later.
Yeah.
I did not catch that. Maybe it's in the books. Maybe this is a made up thing. Jane, I don't recall. Like Larys is an enigma in the books.
Yeah, I didn't catch it, but I could certainly see that being his own personal sigil.
Yeah, well, it reminds me of when Littlefinger did that. He chose a hummingbird, I think, right?
Was it a honeybee? Was it a honeybee?
Someone said, yeah, it could be a honeybee or a cicada, potentially. I don't know.
It was definitely a Littlefinger thing, and they don't tell you anything about the guy in the book other than he's got a club foot and you can't trust him. You can't trust him. Fucking snake. Well, but he's good at what he does. He's really good at what he does. So
speaking of, yeah, he's gone down to this probably is the black cells, actually. That makes more sense. Essentially they're on death row as well, these guys. So he offers them a deal, and we don't actually get it explicitly this way, but I'm assuming the deal is you become my agents to a T no matter what, and I will allow you to live, though you have to give up your tongues. Which is nasty, but
very Aeron Greyjoy of him. So
yeah, his whole crew don't have tongues, right?
Or Euron, sorry. I say
Euron.
Yeah. I mean, they probably don't know how to write. That's the thing, is they're probably illiterate and without a tongue.
Yeah. But these are clearly men who have very little moral compass anyway. They're on, on death row, and their choice, death or serve me, keep on living and do what I say. Lose your tongue in the process, but still over death.
Yeah,
you can see
if anybody was wondering, because I think Gary kind of covered it there, but like cutting the tongue out is just an additional layer of keeping them quiet about what they're going to be doing. They're doing incredibly controversial and treasonous work.
And he did identify each of their crimes so that we wouldn't feel bad or feel they're innocent.
And they'll probably stay pretty loyal to him. They're like, hey, I get to still kill and be a deviant, and I get paid. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm alive.
It's not an idiotic decision by Larys. Was it Larys? I want to say Loris, but that's a different guy. Yeah, but they get some jobs done that are controversial, to say the least.
Oh, I completely agree with Amish Verma here for $5. We are definitely setting up a Targaryen civil war. I don't know how long it will last, but is it really a Targaryen? Is Aegon really a Targaryen? That's the question. He could be. Probably isn't, though. Do you think he is?
I think he's a Blackfire.
Blackfire. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right there.
So
Can he ride a dragon though? I think Daenerys is going to lose. I don't think there's a Night King. I don't think there's a Night King in the book. I think it's just the others.
yeah.
I think it's just the others. They might have a hierarchy, but yeah, I don't think there's a Night King. That's just me.
Mm-mm.
I think we would have seen him already. But I definitely think Daenerys is going to lose a dragon or two at some point.
That's gonna be so sad.
But it's good. But I think it's going to be to other writers. I don't think it's going to be to like an other or something like that. I think she loses them to other writers. Dragon must have 3 heads.
Mm.
All right. So they say yes, and they're going to do the deed, and that deed is killing Harwin and Lionel Strong at Harrenhal, which is cursed. Lots of bad things have happened since the death of Black Heron, and including, but not excluding, women bathing in blood,
Yeah.
doing all kinds of crazy shit. And yeah, they died in a fire that was obviously set by the Beesmen or whatever. I don't know what the hell to call them at this point.
Well, before the actual burning of Harrenhal, there's a different type of burning that happened a bit before. Is that-
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Sorry. All right.
So Daemon's
We'll be
wife
back to
is
that.
in labor. She's delivering a child, but the child is not coming out. And the man who's trying to do it, he says, "I'm at the limit of my skill. I don't know what to do. I could try and cut the baby out." There's a callback here.
Yep.
Wife, and he just simply says the wife won't survive, and I don't know if the baby will live if I try it. And interesting, Daemon doesn't even seem to give an answer. He just seems to be.
I was really curious what his answer would be, and they left it ambiguous.
No, well, he said, "Will the bride survive?" Right here.
Well, yeah, and then he
Mhm.
says
I
no.
thought he shook his head no.
Well, no. So the Maester says
told
the mother
no.
wouldn't survive. I thought that Daemon didn't make a decision
No.
because he says no, and then careful. You have to be careful. Yeah, I don't think we got to see Daemon make a decision on it.
Oh, I can't risk it. Yeah. So she walks out. Now this is kind of from the book. So she dies in childbirth.
Mm-hmm.
This is supposed to be on Driftmark though. Rhaenyra flies out with Daemon. I really thought they were setting up like a Jaime Cersei scene, because they mentioned in the book specifically that Rhaenyra comforts Daemon over the vigil of his dead wife, and I bet you they had sex, but they cut that out. That's not from the book. So they're in Pentos. She attempts to go ride her dragon one more time because that's what she likes to do, and she dies on the way there. This is a little different.
Well, so I don't know if anyone else felt this way. I was just going to say I thought this was a bit absurd. She was never going to be able to make it this far without her helpers stopping her. Or they imply that Daemon is like the doctor, whatever his label is, Maester, blah, blah, blah. He comes away from her to explain the situation. Then Daemon notices that she's gone. She would have had a maximum of about 15 seconds at most to have walked away. And you want me to believe that she managed to hobble this far before Daemon would have caught up to her and stopped her? Is too much for me to believe, especially all the midwives around her as well.
I didn't think that. No, because I'm rewatching it. Daemon's looking at it, and I wasn't getting the impression that he looks and noticed that she's gone, because I don't. Maybe I thought like
it was a very bizarre cut.
It was a distinct impression I got, because he looks surprised, and then it cuts to her here, and then we see him finally catch up to her, and he's like, "No, don't do the."
Because that would be absurd if they're just implying that. Because I guess I don't know. Is it my own bias? I thought it'd be so absurd they couldn't have done that, and so he just walks back to her and he's at her side, and at some point he leaves, and she takes the opportunity to.
It's hard enough for me to believe that he wouldn't have caught up to her, but all of the people in that room have a strong investment of not allowing her to just wander off in the middle of labor with the baby in her life.
They should have let some time pass. Like, we're gonna give her milk of the poppy and let her rest for a minute. And Daemon walks out,
Yeah.
like just distressed.
Yeah.
Because I liked where the scene ended up.
Yeah,
It's
so same.
But getting there was a little much. That's
But even
like
if
two women who
they decided,
she's still got a dead baby in her, right?
Exactly, that's the thing.
Not confirmed. They said they don't know if the baby's alive or not, but they didn't confirm that.
That's what I'm saying.
It actually had died.
Timeline-wise, we were about to make the decision on the cesarean, I think, and then she walks away during that decision-making process, which is to me like absurd. There's no way that anyone let her leave.
But if they decided that she wasn't going to survive it and he wasn't going to force the issue, then they would have crushed the baby and it would be dead and removed. So there wouldn't be a threat to her life at this point. That part just did not make
this is why I believe it is in the middle of that decision being made that she does.
They should have just. Why didn't they just do what sometimes the Targaryen babies come out twisted, right? Semi-dead dragon like. Why didn't they just do that? That would have been cool. You know, that's what happened to Daenerys. So.
I'm not fully there with her decision to commit suicide either, because to me there would be other options she could have done to survive. And I did rewatch just now when Daemon was asked, you know, if he was gonna try and do the cesarean, he actually shakes his head. It's really subtle, but I think Gary noticed it, that he shakes his head no, that they're not gonna risk their life. I missed it as well, but upon rewatching it really looks like Daemon actually says no. I think they could have done something really shocking and it'll be perfectly in line with Game of Thrones, but it would have been, I don't know, not in the book or anything like that. I was half wondering, like,
it's the opposite decision than his brother made.
Yeah, like I was wondering if Daemon was going to prioritize the mother's life so much that he would have grabbed a sword and actually carved up the baby inside to pull it out and save her life. That would have been, holy crap, total Game of Thrones though. And it's something that I wouldn't put past Daemon, because Daemon's such a friggin', you know, badass that he was just like, that'll be,
so yeah, this at that point then this does create problems for me, because I'm like, I needed her to believe that she was absolutely going to die, but why would she believe that?
Right. They didn't mention anything about her not, you know, or bleeding out and they couldn't stop the bleeding, or that she had been poisoned or anything. They didn't give us anything.
It
was in her own mind.
The only threat to her life was if they perform a cesarean.
They said she's not going to survive. They said she's dead. He asked, Daemon asked, is the bride going to survive? They said no.
I thought they were talking about if they do a cesarean that she wouldn't survive.
No, they said she's done anyway. They said,
is that what that was?
Yep, she's dead.
I can check.
Already dead.
Because that would cover if it is, but I didn't. I got the impression distinctly that it was a baby's not going to come out.
I might have been talking over that scene. Sorry.
No, it's the same for both of us. Like because we had subtitles, so I might have just missed it.
I thought it was if they decide to do the C-section.
I have subtitles because I'm old.
No, I like subtitles.
I like subtitles too.
I'm pro subtitles.
No, they're saying no. I thought that was only the result of the C-section. I thought he asked if the bride was going to survive. Will she survive?
I've just rewatched it. There's nothing that he says that she's going to die of a surety. It's only in relation to the C-section.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's a little weird though. That's a big oversight then.
Yeah, in that case, because that's the thing. I need the information. I need her to believe she's definitely dead. But I don't know why.
And they could have said that. They could have just said, "Nah, she ain't coming through."
Yeah, but that wouldn't even it wouldn't make sense unless something had went wrong with her body, because they could remove the child. They had the capacity to do that, even in that time period.
Well, they could just do the old-fashioned. Like, she's lost too much blood. There's very little chance she's going to survive. You could do that.
Yeah, but then you'd have to explain her being able to walk out of the castle.
This is the thing. Yeah, this is tough to do logistically. There's a couple.
I think it could be done, but this is the issue. If they said that the wife's life is already forfeit, well, then why aren't you doing the C-section to save the baby? To try to say that, and
there's that. Yeah,
that's actually that's another issue here. Actually, if she's aware that she's committing suicide and she's decided the baby will die with her, when there's a chance the baby could live, that's even worse.
They just wanted her to get fried by her own dragon.
Yeah, I think we've concluded they rushed this. They didn't.
This is not a well-executed conclusion in terms of
with the book. You went style over substance on this one.
Yeah.
Great style at the end, but the lead up doesn't make no sense.
I did like the dragon was
what they should have done? This is how you would do it. the baby stillborn, it's dead, and it was so traumatic that she's lost too much blood and she's gonna die too. And then she chooses to go out by fire instead of laying.
Someone in chat just suggested that you could even have her talking to Daemon, and she's like, "Please let me ride the dragon one more time," and then he takes her out there, but she maybe dies just before she gets there, or same thing happens. Yeah. Because having him carry her out there, I think, is even more meaningful theoretically, and it just covers the problem of her walking out there.
It burns her.
Well,
you know what bloody annoys me? It didn't take too much thought to come to the conclusion that would get the payoff that they wanted and justify it with the motivations and setup. And I just why can't the writers do that? They're not dumb, these writers. They've done some really good stuff. It just frustrates me.
It's a grievous. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think something hit the cutting room floor. They edited something out.
Yeah,
I could believe that, because this is a grievous mistake in that this woman should believe her baby still has a chance of living, and she's choosing to do this. Like, that's it creates.
Because it feels like you're just dispatching this actor,
right.
And well, I mean, I have to be fair. This is dispatching the character, as in like assassination. This is quite a hefty blow to this lady's character.
And you've established much better things with lesser characters. So.
Exactly. This is unusual as a mistake for them.
But they're trying to like get vague. Vagar plays a part. Big dragon. Figure it's gonna play a part in this.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I'll keep my
Very intelligent dragon.
in isolation, I appreciated the expression Vagar was giving off and how it took a lot of convincing to have the dragon burn the dragon rider.
So Harwin Strong says goodbye to his kids. Luke catches on that Harwin's his dad. And then Rhaenyra makes a really fucking stupid decision. Laena tries to stop her. They decide to bail King's Landing.
Yeah, I literally have a note here. Her leaving King's Landing is the worst political strategy she could do, unless she thinks she can't avoid the death of her children because it's known that they're bastards now and their lives are full. And it's the
that was my assumption. Was
the only thing she can do to save them. But politically, she is, this is political suicide. She has no control over the narrative now at all.
The realm, like Varys says it in his famous line, power is where people perceive it to be. So the realm is run by optics, purely by optics. Kind of like our country's run right now. But this is just stupid. She uses his own line against him, though. It's like, I think Corlys Valerian said you either like run away from the storm or go around it.
No, go through it, right? Didn't he say? Yeah, because I think he said go through it or go around it. You don't let it come to you.
You don't.
Hang on. Is she making this choice after learning that Strong was just killed, like he died, but possibly murdered?
No.
Is this before she knows? Because that would have been a good setup. Like, she just found out that the father of the children just suddenly mysteriously died. She could then think that, and it's better, justification for her to think that someone's coming after the illegitimate father or the illegitimate children and the father of those children, because now the father's dead. That could then justify her trying to protect them.
I really took it though as her seeing that the dominoes are in place and that this may be in the same way when you it's kind of like how a lot of characters think in the show, where they think this is a chance I have several options on the table right now. When will I run out of the chance to use those, and should I be using them now? As in, I have the power to collect my family and leave. I wonder how long I'll have that power for, considering everyone seems to be aware that my line is in complete question right now, and that Alicent is my clear nemesis almost. That Hail Mary didn't work, and it couldn't be more overtly declined by her being like, "Oh, we'll think about it." It's like, oh shit.
So it was odd that she suddenly came to that conclusion, because up until now she's been pretty focused on doing her own thing regardless of what anyone else thinks. And so now suddenly you want to run with your family? You're the Targaryen. I don't think that's the case.
I think the whole point of this episode is that it's been a gradual burn and that it's reached boiling point in this episode.
Interestingly, the decision to leave comes right after the scene where her son actually asks if, is that my real dad?
Yeah.
Because it's funny, my line there was like, it's so obvious, especially when the dad is like the guy saying goodbye and how friendly he is with the kids. I was like, surely the kids have to know, right? Like, and
Exactly.
then the very next moment was then the kid asks, "Is he our real father?" It's like, oh well, okay, they're acknowledging it.
You're really nice to that kid, and he looks just like you.
And that's what I mean about the slow burn. Like one person knew back in episode 5, and we've skipped over we've gone from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, and at this point, I think she's convinced when her son asks the question, "Oh shit, everyone knows." We're just waiting for.
Yeah.
We're just waiting for the spark. As soon as there's a spark, everything's done. So I need to get out before it lights up.
You're right. The way the realm looks at bastards, and it's not a patriarch. It's like men and women look at, especially royal men and women. They are cursed. They're horrible. And even if they're legitimized by a king, most lords will. I mean, they'll do what they have to do because the king said it. But behind closed doors, they're like, he's still a bastard. Well, look at Look at our boy Stannis the Manus. He didn't give a shit if anybody's legitimized. He's still a bastard, I love Stannis.
I love Stannis too.
Stannis is so great in the books.
You have to say in the books because he was almost great in the show, almost. And then
they had him right in the beginning. I still think like Mark Strong would have been the perfect Stannis.
It was was it Stephen Delane? I think was his name. The guy
he did a good job, but
I really liked him. He grew on me, but then they ruined him.
They fucking totally ruined him. Matt Fashion for 10 Canadian pesos says, I don't know about you guys, but I like this show more and more. Do you believe we will see some battles this season? No, you're going to see, you see fights. You're going to see a lot of horrors and like political, like nonsense. Like
I could believe they may, like just strategically, they may put something in the episode 9 or 10, something big.
Could be.
I think something will happen at the end of episode 10.
Cliffhanger?
No, it'll be what? And it's not a wedding.
That sounds like a cliffhanger, but
no, but then it'll lead to something else that will be
worse.
Oh no, I think they're going to do that first. That's something bad is going to really bad's going to happen.
Really?
And, they've been foreshadowing it. Okay,
no spoilers.
Say the rats. The rats foreshadow it, and you'll have no idea what I'm talking about.
Oh my god.
And that could even still have a double meaning. I know it's like really on the nose, and they're foreshadowing one thing, but it also has a double meaning because I think we're gonna find. I'm holding out for this, the Maester conspiracy. That's what I want. We'll see if we get it. Because they dropped that like at the end of A Dance with Dragons. Or no, it's at the end of Feast for Crows. In the final chapter with Sam. Yeah. They straight up drop. Like, do you think a bunch of people and knights killed all the dragons? No, the Maesters killed the dragons. So they drop it.
Yeah.
All right. We're almost done. So we're at the burning of the Strongs. This is over with Larys Strong. There's Harrenhal.
Simultaneously, you get the Strongs going to Harrenhal and just setting up there, while Rhaenyra is moving her whole family to Dragonstone, and Alicent goes. Well, I guess the framing of this is it's being narrated by Clubfoot. Because he's enacting his plan, and we get to see the results. Well, the whole thing basically, and he also gives his commentary upon it, which this is what made me really like this episode because it bound.
Yes.
I'm sorry, guys, I'm pulling out the T word. There was a really strong theme this episode. I thought it was beautifully done. Holy shit, was I impressed.
Dan and Dave thought themes were for 8th grade book.
Fuck them. What do they know? So, yeah, he opens with what are children but a weakness, folly, a futility. Through children, you believe you cheat the great darkness of its victory. You'll persist forever in some form or another, that they'll keep you from the dust. But for them, you surrender what you should not. And while he says all that, we see an image of Viserys looking at his ring, the ring that he took off his wife when she had died. And then he says, you know what's right, but love stays the hand. And the image they have when he says that is Lionel's skeleton. And then he says, love is a downfall. And there's more, but oh my God, I was so taken with that speech. It's like the ultimate twisted perversion of what it means to have children.
Yeah.
It's like the darkest interpretation of like how it's a selfish act to try and continue to try and make you feel like you survived death, but ultimately it destroys you, or it can, because it stops you from making smart decisions. I was just like, what a horrible person you are, and how well executed that was. Like, I believe he believes that fully, and all these events just matching it perfectly. And then the whole episode is how the children are destroying the parents in all these different storylines.
That's literally in the context of him just murdering his father and brother.
Exactly.
And,
I thought it was wonderful. Yeah, he burns them to death. You've got obviously Daemon and why am I forgetting her name? Obviously, she
Laena?
dies. Yeah, as a result of, quote unquote, as a result of a awkward and botched pregnancy. Or I'm not sure what we're going to conclude about that, because we don't think the writer is very good on it. But you know what I mean? It's tied to the birth of her children. Then, of course, Rhaenyra's children, their secret being so obvious and revealed that it's now going to be the foundation for an enormous civil war. I just thought this was really, really fucking good. So I was really happy with it.
Yeah.
And then, like real quick, Allison.
Oh, the look on her face.
Got what you wished for. Yeah. She's like, you did what? Oh, I totally killed everybody so your dad can be hand again. You'll pay me back when I expect soon.
Yeah.
What? Shit just got real. So that's where it ended.
Yep.
Holy shit.
And,
Daemon's sad. Daemon's very sad and melancholy because his wife is dead. Rhaenyra's bailing to Dragonstone with Laenor, which sets up Daemon being able to come back with his daughters, right? Remember those daughters. Remember those daughters.
Otto's coming back, baby.
Otto's coming back. Well, yeah, they can see other hands, but Otto comes back. He does. And that's it. It was a really good episode. And yeah, not my favorite episode, but like it was an important one because we, got our new actors and this huge time jump, and characters are acting completely different. Some things didn't work. Some things worked good enough. Like the show's getting better. I can't imagine the
Here's the
viewership.
crazy thing. I might be willing to say it's the worst of the 5 or 6, sorry, but that I really like it still.
it's not my favorite. Like I said,
Not
I
mine
had
either.
issues
It was
with this
good.
one. I could. It's a very competent done episode in terms of what it's setting up, but I only had one real scene that I really enjoyed, and that was, of course, the fight scene and stuff. So yeah, still very good. I would still say very, very good. In terms of flaws, though, it does probably have the biggest the justification of
the pregnancy one. I think has made me knock it down. I think it's the worst episode. That's a really significant fuck up. But I would still call the episode good.
Oh yeah.
So
it had great scenes. Like it had some cockamamie scene, like a really overdone patriarchy thing, and then but then some like good old fashioned just evil. It's kind of like that. I was like, yeah, you're bad.
I saw some people saying, by the way, that we had missed that she wanted out of the marriage. That's why she allowed herself to be burned that way. I was just like, wow.
No.
What? No.
She said she was resigned to her place.
I wasn't even, but even if we accepted that to be true, wow. Like I'm going to kill myself and my unborn child.
And leave my daughters behind.
Yeah, I don't follow that one.
I don't buy it.
No.
And she seemed to still love Daemon quite a bit.
Yeah, and he liked her in his way. Like he was very sad when she died, and in the book he carries her back to her bed. So yeah, I no. Well, Daemon will kill you if he doesn't like you, but if he really likes you, he'll protect you. Like he's a man of that world. That's a man of Westeros. That's like a normal guy in Westeros. Horrible world. aside from the cave trolls and stuff, but when you hear like Tolkien describe the woods, you're like, I'd want to be there. I'd want to walk through. That sounds kind of nice. I want to go to Lothlorien. Sounds nice. I don't want to go anywhere in Westeros. I don't want to do anything in Westeros. I never want to go to Westeros. Fucking terrible.
It really is.
Oh, by the way, I implied it. I want to make sure it's mentioned because I just thought it was such a great weaving story-wise that when he says the whole valuing your children over like anything else, it's like destruction for yourself. Having Viserys kiss his rings, like why is that so important? It's like, well, if you remember, he feels that his desire to create an heir with Emma is what killed her. Like that's binding those two together at that distance and not telling us it. You have to put that together yourself. It's like, oh, beautiful work. Beautiful work. Depressing work.
Yeah. I mean, like Larys Strong's like worldview is fucked. But you know.
And so just talking about Larys and so he's now gonna be what the Lord of Harrenhal because he's the only
he is the Lord of Harrenhal. Yes. And no, so the realm in the books thinks that it was definitely murder, but it could have been Alicent, it could have been Viserys, and then the even darkest rumor is that it was Larys. So that's like the last person they would think of because it's his dad and his brother. Without thinking like this guy fucking hates him. He didn't care. He's a psychopath. But we might find some other motivations because like the book is really, like even when the story ends, they're like, we don't know what side this guy was on. We have no idea what he wanted. We don't know what his motivations were, which is good. And we'll have to figure it out.
That character.
Yep, Purdue. What's the date? Sorry. I'm going to read a super chat. I get confused because the freaking Streamlabs is like a day behind. I'm like, it's not the 25th. It's the 26th. I'm uncomfortable with the current show being good. Says Opera $5.
It doesn't feel right.
I don't know what to do. How are we supposed to do this?
Well, I mean, what did we just do for 2 hours and 40 minutes, right?
I know, it was great.
Yeah.
Great. Second message of the day, but did you realize that young Aegon Targaryen is played by David Tennant's adopted son? No. His wife, from his wife, Georgia, always switch onto the stream once I finished watching House of the Dragon. Thanks for doing it, everyone. You're welcome, Lyra, for $5. I didn't know that. And you want to know like how weird that everything synchronized today? I was watching Matt Smith, but I was also watching The End of Time. I watched The End of Time with Bernard. I always say Bernard, but it's Bernard Cribbins, the late great Bernard Cribbins, who made it on my thumbnail. I didn't even tell Perry to put him on. So I don't know how he ended up on the thumbnail, but he did. It was weird. But yeah, God, that's so damn good. When they announced that Time Lords are coming back, I was like, ooh, that show sucks now. Used to be so good. It's Deeds like MN like Minnesota for $20. Thank you. Glad you brought Jane on. You guys are awesome. And she's the only lady I enjoy listening to lately. Love from Minnesota.
Thank you.
What's going on there, man? Like, I kind of want to know.
You might want to, Gary. She's currently blanked out of the screen because of the super chat.
Oh, I'm sorry. What? Oh, it's a grizzly. Hey, as bad as Westeros is, I'd rather live in Westeros than the Imperium from Warhammer. Yeah, the Imperium sounds terrible. Okay. You can get stabbed, but you're not going to get your soul ripped out and turned into a slavery chaos demon.
Yeah, that doesn't sound great.
Cannot get into Warhammer. I'm into too many things, and if I go down a Warhammer hole, this channel will die. I'll tell you, if I get into it, that's all I'll do. I'll start. Yeah, no, can't do it. I'm reading Elric right now. It's a fantastic book. So fantastic. Matt Fashion, I read that. Blue-eyed Scorpio for $1.99. I thought because she wanted out of the marriage. No.
Mm-mm.
I don't know.
I'm not really clear on what the logic there is.
Moms would not leave kids behind, no matter what.
I mean,
No way.
they tried to establish earlier that she wanted, when her time came to die, that she wanted to go out like a dragon rider.
Exactly.
But they never explained why this was her time.
That's what's
They
missing.
should have.
Clearly,
Yeah,
that's a
it feels like
mistake.
I could have sworn Matt Daemon Targaryen asked, but what about the wife? And like somebody said, no, she's not going to survive. I could have sworn somebody said that because that makes sense. But if nobody said that, then it makes no sense. None. Somebody should have said it.
Yeah.
She said she wanted to die a dragon rider's death. This is true, but we needed to establish that she was dead. Like she was dead already. Like she was walking dead. Like she was about to expire in hours.
Yeah, and I think it was Shadow made the suggestion of just stillborn baby, and then she's lost too much blood. Done. We're good when we do that.
Like they did in the book. All she had to do was follow the book and then have her walk and then say Dracarys. That's the only thing you had to change. It's weird.
Yeah.
A little weird on that one. Maybe they got rushed, fucked up on an edit. Happens. It happens. Or it was just bad storytelling. I don't know. Which is really unusual for this show. That's why we're like focusing on it. Cause like, man, that's just, they're not, so far they've been pretty consistent with characters.
Yeah.
But I think, this time jump, this is very unusual for a show. I'm not going to say like they've never done it before, but like having two of your three main characters change like halfway through.
Yeah.
That's risky. That's some risky shit. What if he killed his daughter like in the Underworld movies? Victor kills his daughter with who fucked the Lycan.
Oh yeah, Underworld 3. Rise
Yeah.
of the Lycans. I remember that. He burns it.
Is this saying like King Viserys sentences his daughter to death? Is that there?
That would never happen.
He would never do that.
It's
No,
not
Kinslayer.
moving.
Yeah, nothing is as accursed as the Kinslayer in Westeros. Now, it doesn't. You're not supposed to kill anybody at dinner either, but they managed to do that.
Yeah, Tywin felt it was the right thing to do. Okay.
It was the most prudent. Like it was real. It's like let's just buy him off on.
Well, it doesn't have a line. He's like, why is it more noble to kill thousands of men in battle than a couple at dinner or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just the guy who was all about family respect had no fucking honor at all. Like, no, complicated guy though, because that's life. Like that's people operate like that. So if you want an amazing take on where Lemongate might go, check out interesting Nerd Club's video on the Red Door. Oh, I'll check it out. There's something to it for sure. George said there was. He said there's something to the Red Door, and he'll answer it in a book he'll never finish. Aaron Wilson, thank you for the 5 Canadian pesos. I just got to remind myself before I get too excited. The story I give a shit about ain't finishing. Falling outside of normal. More. I don't know what it says. I'm sorry. The name's too long. It's cut off for $5. Thank you. Thank you very much. Says, can't wait to watch tomorrow at work. I look forward to these streams almost as much as I look forward to new episodes of the show. That's cheers. That is a very kind thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
We love that.
Sweet.
Yeah, dude. No, I've gotten so much good feedback on this. Like people are like, please keep doing it. I'm like, okay. I don't know about the videos, but I'll try.
I think it's refreshing.
No, it definitely is. It's a break.
Yeah.
But it's on me if this thing goes south. That's why I'm not recommending it to anybody. Don't give no.
Taking it one episode at a time.
I've seen too many shows where they have really good first seasons and they go fucking woke and nuts in the second. It's just like, nope, not gonna say it, not gonna do it. Daemon is GOAT. Would be a fine king. # Team Daemon says party CV for $1.99. Yep. I think that's kind of what the message they're saying is like, he has no chance, but he probably wouldn't have been bad. Am I the only one who wishes they gave this show its own musical intro. It's so out of place, and the show has some cool themes they could have used, says That Dark Kidda for 35 South African pesos.
I'd be curious if their goal is to create several TV shows eventually, and all of them will have that same intro music to bind it all to one big universe. I think that's what they're going for. But I still agree. I think I would have preferred a different intro song.
Same. I mean, they had a different one in the first episode. It was just, it was slightly different. It was just reminiscent barely of the original. They could have used that as their intro.
I've heard that Dunk and Egg might be greenlit, the Hedge Knight series. Is that going ahead?
I think I don't know. That was the next one that was up. That's the easiest one to do. Because it's kind of a smaller show than this. It doesn't require dragons, but it could be better because it's kind of a lone wolf cub of Westeros. You have this big giant knight and this little Padawan who just happens to be a Targaryen, who plays a huge part in the show. But it goes through basically the Blackfire rebellions. It's a way of telling the story of the Blackfire rebellions, and you get Bloodraven, dude. Bloodraven is my absolute favorite A Song of Ice and Fire character, who's so fucking cool. So he's basically Elric again. He's an albino Targaryen who's half Blackwood, who like uses werewood arrows and has these archers, and is the master of whisperers, and he's a green seer, and he can use the werewood trees to spy on people, and he does some really fucked up things to say for the good of the realm, and he can possibly shapeshift. So yeah, that's a character I want to know more about, definitely, for sure. Gary simping for Bloodraven again. Yes, I do big time. Okay.
My only concern is that they aren't finished.
That's
That's the problem.
Well, remind me. It's another story that's not finished, because there's two more too, because they got to do the she-wolves of Winterfell, right? Because that's when Dunk goes up there and has sex with one of the Starks, and then and then they got to do he might be Hodor might be a descendant of Dunk.
Really?
Yep. So and then and it might be, was it Old Nan who he hits up? Yeah, I think it's Old Nan who he hits up. And then they need to do Summerhall, the tragedy of Summerhall.
Oh yeah.
So that's two more stories. He's never gonna finish that either. He's gonna buy he's gonna buy another train, start another Meow Wolf, start 5 Game of Thrones spin-offs, and never finish the fucking book. God damn. Now I'm pissed again. All right. Shad, how you doing, man? I know you were a little.
I'm going. I'm here, man.
All right, we're gonna get through these soups, and then we're gonna wrap things up. So thanks everybody for watching. This is gonna stay on the channel, by the way. We're leading up to what I think is a good finale. I think I know what they're gonna end on. I'll tell Jane it's the rat thing.
Yeah.
I think that's what they end on.
Okay. Oh.
Uh-huh.
That's gonna be harsh.
Me and Shad just like, what the frick?
Mike 1010011 little 0 out of 10 scene due to horrible advice from Kristen Cole. How do you forget to stab, twist, and gut? And no fighting with your feet? Embarrassing.
I will agree. He didn't even mention stab, twist, and gut.
Or gut.
He didn't even mention that there's actually more than one way to kill someone with a sword, because clearly people would only think that there would only be one.
And he didn't say to the children, I'll keep it short and simple.
Yeah.
But no, he left it complicated.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I mean, I know the whole Syrio Forel thing, the water dancer thing, the Bravosi sword from Game of Thrones season 1. It was like, it's like water dancing, but you still got to use your fucking arms. When she said you fight more with your feet than your arms, I'm like, I don't even sword fight, and that sounds stupid. That sounds really fucking dumb.
Well, I'm assuming Shad would agree. It's like they've heard or seen scenes of like actually good stuff to do with it, and then they've tried to recreate it without understanding it. You know, so they're like, you fight with your feet, and you're like,
It's like,
sorry,
were you
what?
thinking of boxing where you still need to punch, but your feet, your footwork matter? Like,
I mean, footwork is important, but to say just fight with your feet and over your eyes, it's so stupid. And what's hilarious, if you were to try and strongman it, that she's meaning use your feet, so kind of move horizontally, not just forward and back laterally. Then she continues to not move horizontally in her fight. She just moves along one center line, and she doesn't reposition herself. And so nothing what she does is reflecting what she says, and then what she says is still nonsense. And even when you try and strongman it in a vein of logic, it still doesn't make sense to what she said, and she doesn't follow through with what she's describing. It's stupid.
It's like if your basic advice to a sailor is like, it's not about the sails, it's about the wind. And you're like, sure, I get. Well, it's still about this. What else have you got for me? Like, there's got to be more than that.
Isn't Cannibal supposed to be the biggest dragon? Ask Gojo for $1.99. No, it's a big one, and it's a wild dragon. Does not have a rider. We haven't even heard mention of it yet in the show. But Vhagar is the biggest remaining dragon because Balerion the Black Dread died. King Viserys was the last one to ride it.
How did Balerion die? Old age?
Natural causes.
Yeah.
200. It was like 200 years old.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, it just makes me think the daughter who was saying she didn't have a dragon is going to get the mum's dragon.
I'd assume that's where they're going with that. I don't know, though.
Do you think Rhaenyra's eldest son is Kristen Cole's son? I don't know, mate. I mean, like, it's a theory. I kind of think she took the moon tea, but it's definitely, you know what? Now that I think about it, when he's asking if he was his father, and it turns out that Harwin wasn't his father, that makes that question even harder to answer. Oh,
that's
maybe.
true. The kid would have to be 10, right? No, 9. The kid would have to be 9.
That kid looked 9 or 10. Definitely looked 9 or 10.
Possible.
But the way they cast the children, I mean, even their body builds are similar to the Strongs.
Yep.
I don't know. Like, to try and say that, that
it would be difficult to figure out a kid.
The timing wouldn't really work.
Even
if you were, they did the deed a good couple of months before Rhaenyra got married, and so that means they'd have to try and justify that child would have been born very premature.
Very quickly.
Yeah, I don't think they could.
If she's not a King's Landing. If she was on Dragonstone, maybe. But
and anyway, he looks so much like his brother with the really thick brown hair, and it just I got very strong vibe. Like
all three of those kids, like they did a really good casting job on them. They look like they could be brothers, absolutely. But Laenor Valerion doesn't look anything like his younger version. Like they could not look more different. Rhaenyra's husband, like the recasting on that was like, oof, they don't look anything alike at all. No. Jackson Sutton, argument can be made about Rhaenyra. I still don't think she looks fair, but the actress playing Alicent totally looks like an older version of the other. So they did a good job.
I actually get them confused. I could barely tell.
I mean, I could tell with both of them, but that was fine. I'm fine. It's fine.
I was gonna make a joke. I decided. I decided not to. We're trying to do the good taste stream. Not on Friday nights. I'll save it for Friday. Jackson Sutton for $5. Love you guys. Can't wait to see what goes on with Kristen Cole and how he'll show him getting his nickname. Well, I don't think we're that far away from it. I don't think that happens at the end of the season. I think it happens enjoy your Viserys moments. I'm just going to say that. Just hold him tight.
Dude, Gary, I'll be honest with you. I thought he was dead like as early as episode 4. I'm very glad I got this much of him.
And it's weird because you see Patty Constantine interviews and he's like, look, he's super young. Like he's super young looking. Like I'm older than that guy.
He's done great. done
They
great.
did a great
Slaps
job.
around.
Dude, guy's got range. He's got proper chops, that one. Dissect of the Dead for $1.99. Who wins? Elric versus Conan in a volcano. Is Elric? Oh, it's the sword, dude. Like if Elric didn't have the sword, Conan. Elric with the sword. I'm blanking on it's Stormbringer. Elric wins and steals.
I think the volcano would come out on top at the end.
Yeah.
You think so?
I'm Team Volcano.
Yeah.
The Grizzly for $20. There is a great, but I'm fucking Conan's badass. Okay, Conan's one of my favorite characters of all time. Period. I spent about an hour staring at Savage Sword of Conan today in my we're alphabetizing my comic books, and I just looked at them. They're so nice. There's a great channel I'd like to shout out.
I got news for you.
I got news for you. I'm a little gay for Conan. It's fine. What if Alt Hist gives a great breakdown of why the left thinks all the history is sunshine and rainbows? Danger has to be a myth in their minds. That's one of two. The leftists have never understood hardships, i.e., the people Gary talk about never leaving the same 20-mile San Francisco in his video. This is true. And Birth of Social Justice and Will America Have Another Civil War are really good. I don't think so. I think we've actually been through worse times in the 60s, and I lived through the 70s. I was a kid, but things were pretty bad. Crime was freaking horrible. Not saying we are living in great times right now, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think the amount of people who practice common sense and just want to live together and do their own thing vastly outnumbers any idiots. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. But yeah, there's a lot of people who live in cities, particularly San Francisco, not like LA. That's super spread out, but like New York and LA who don't leave. There's a bunch of Manhattanites who just don't leave that square mile. And there's a bunch of San Franciscans who don't leave the 7 square miles within the downtown area. They just never do. They don't own cars. It's being from Southern California, like driving culture. It was alien to me. I'm like, you don't know how to drive? You're 50 and you don't know how to drive. How? But
I think people are way too comfortable these days to engage in a civil war.
Like I'd have to go
It's just
outside.
inconvenient.
I'd have to put on my coat. I don't know.
Could it be a meme civil war? Could we just insult each other on Twitter? That would be the most miserable civil war.
They create like triage areas and tents in the form of digital Twitter. Like they said I was fat. Like, oh my god, come here. I will help you.
Yeah, we're not. That would take funding that you wouldn't believe and coordination. It's easy to do that with riots and stuff like that because you can overwhelm police pretty easily. But civil war.
And even then, they get tired and go home at some point. It's like, I'm not
whole
gonna
other
leave
level.
my comfort of my home to fight a war.
But I did move far away from a city, so I just didn't have to deal with any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I saw enough in San Francisco. I was like, bah, it's not worth it.
The country's big enough to relocate.
It is. I love it out here. Fucking Texas rocks. My God, everything's like coming from California. It's like winning the lottery, dude. It's like everything's half off. It's great. Daemon is the GOAT. Oh, he'd be a fine king. Team Daemon. Matt Daemon Targaryen says Nuclear Winter Gamer. Yes. That started out as an accident, and I'm just calling him that from now on. So, but Matt Smith is killing it, man. He's so good in this role. Dudes, I knew the dude. It was weird. He was like picking some really shitty roles, but now I think, with The Crown and this, like he's on his way. He's on his way. He was such a good doctor. If you want an amazing take on where, I read that one, so I'm getting caught up here. Sean, what if he killed his daughter? Oh, I read that one. Okay. I'm going to probably, if I miss a couple, I'm doing a square up tomorrow. Oh, Mr. Grant Gregory asked one. I saw you down there, Mr. Grant Gregory. Hang on. It's a question. You could just DM me, dude. You don't have to. You got my DMs, man. Mr. Grant Gregory, who helps coordinate, shows like what's it called again? What's his name? Bill Scott from Sporking
News Podcast.
Sporking something podcast. He's always bugging and like, God, he's worse than Drunk 3PO. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I love them both. Yeah. Did you think you'll be able to make Sporking stream tomorrow to discuss the episode? Laena went out like a Chad. Yeah, I liked how she went out. It's just getting her there. I think we all agree that. Like, that was kind of cool. Like, Dracarys and the dragon's like, I don't wanna. I kind of like that,
dude.
Yeah.
If it was all good, just compare the dragon. We know the dragon knows what it means. We know the dragon doesn't want to do it, but then the dragon comes to understand this is the desire of the dragon rider, and there's a level maybe of honor or tradition even that the dragon's aware of. Compare that to the dragon being like, the throne represents the horrors of
Oh my god.
Drogon understands metaphor. It's like, no. That was a horrible decision.
It was.
Oh my
They thought
god.
it was so smart though.
But the binding, they even kind of alluded to it in this series. So they're bound by blood. So there's something in the Targaryen blood that binds them to a dragon. That's why they fuck their sisters. That's why they have to do it.
Yeah.
According to the World of Ice and Fire, the Targaryens learn this from somebody, because the Targaryens used to be like shepherds.
Mhm.
Yeah, they used to be shepherds. They used to just have animals and grazing fields and stuff, and all of a sudden they became freaking dragon riders and built these like cities that haven't been seen, and they had to be shown by somebody probably from the Empire of the Dawn who did it.
Probably.
So, yeah.
I like Preston's theory too on how the dragon gene passes from generation to generation.
Which was,
So I think it involves the maternal line, like somehow connected to mitochondrial DNA.
Yep. Well, he also thinks it's a post sci-fi world and there's no magic, which I just totally disagree with.
No.
But like some of the stuff is right. Oh, Melisandre has a fucking shadow baby. That's not like something you could just explain away with science. She has a shadow baby. Comes out of her bag.
Nanomachines, son.
Nanotech. Yeah. Oh no. God. It's like from Terminator Dark Fate. Don't remind me.
Oh God, no.
As cool as the dragons and the silver-haired royals are, I happily trade them for a show with wargs, giants, blood magic, and the Lord of Light. Bring in the Red Woman. Ronan for $10. I totally agree. Targaryens are not my favorite at all. I'm Stark through and through. Stark.
Absolutely.
Yep. Chef Nick Nero for $4.99. They should have fed Baby Yoda to the dragon and in the pit. Just saying. They still think they can, but you're going to get a whole other season of Baby Yoda and the Mandalorian that I will be completely skipping. Just don't care.
I wonder if he'll have a character this season. That'd be cool.
Think he'll say something?
Maybe a couple
Like, I
words.
pooped my pants and I removed the poop from my pants. I don't care. It's so dumb. I think Baby Yoda's cuteness is wearing thin. Ronan 04, Aegon's Tommen moment had me cracking up because I'm a child. So am I, Dakota Stanton, for $20. I was 53. I thought it was funny as fuck. Imperator of Banera for 2 Canadian pesos. I have won against Luz Theron. I don't know
Louis
what that.
Theroux?
And I have one again, Luz Theron. It's a very iconic line from Wheel of Time.
Okay, that's why I was sorry.
And And I don't want to give spoilers, but it's about Wheel of Time actually deals with parallel realities. Not briefly, but there's actual parallel realities exist in the universe, and sometimes characters get insight into parallel realities and stuff. And there's a moment. It's not really spoilers because you need to know the context to be able to get the film. But there's one moment where a character gets to see all these other realities where someone's fighting the devil, the dark one of this world, basically, and is always the evil guy is always winning, and the line is always "I've won again, lose therein." And then he sees another universe where the dark one wins again. "I've won again, lose therein." And so people have actually been using that somewhat as a meme with with Amazon, the Wheel of Time adaptation. That the Wheel of Time adaptation TV show is one of these universes that the dark one won again because it's so awful. So,
that's great. That's
because it's an awful, like their adaptation is such dog crap. And it's funny, the thing is, they tried to justify the changes by saying it's another one of these other realities. And so everyone's saying, oh, so it's one of the awful realities. Gotcha, you idiots.
Whose side are you on? Green or black? I'm green. Aegon the Older is the true heir. Maester, who wrote the history, was a total simp. Says Stargate 404 for $5. I'm rooting for the blacks because of Matt Damon Targaryen, and I can also say I'm rooting for the blacks. So
and
it's very
Starks are also on that side. Yes,
the Starks are on that side. That's true. I wonder they're gonna have to beef up that Stark scene. They're gonna have to. Yeah, I mean, like it happens.
Yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say. Bishop Cruz for $5. Totally raise kids. I mean, look at them. They're darker than quarter black Garrett. Team black. Dakota Stanton, what's up? Still team black. Yep. Shad confirmed weeb, says Lewis. Yes, we know. You think they'll bring Mr. Grant Gregory, you asked me. I just went past it again. God, I have ADD, bro. I don't think I can make it tomorrow because I went on a stream today with Nina and I got work to do. But I'll make one before it's all over. Okay, I'll commit to one before it's all over. I'm gonna regret it, but yeah. Team both sides suck. Can we get a mulligan? Says objectively. I'm Team Viserys.
Yeah, Team Volcano.
Hot Dragon, House of the Dragon. I'm gonna echo. I don't know what it's from. House of the Dragon clearly had a Game of Thrones season 8 to deal with, but can the shooters and the actress just shut up? Honestly, their TDS just cost them a viewer. They need to shut up. And it wasn't even the actress; it was the co-showrunner who quit.
Yeah,
the co-showrunner who quit is the one who did it. Miguel Sapochnik, and he was the one who directed The Long Night and bitched the fucking whole time. I made a whole video on the guy like complaining about The Long Night. It's like, dude, you did a shitty job. Maybe if you had a better attitude.
Yeah, like I said, Family Guy made fun of his statements, like in a little sketch that they made. I was just like, damn, yeah, you just got like roasted by the whole world because you couldn't accept the fact that you'd fucked up.
Yeah. You know, not everybody has these like super tuned fucking 4K TVs, right? It's like
it's not, dude. It's not even that. It was dark no matter. Unless you put the brightness to 2000, I think it was going to be too dark.
Yep. And then he was like, "It's so hard. It took 50 days." It's like, you're making make believe. Shut up. You're not going to the fucking salt mines. You're directing a TV show. Calm down.
And they're paid handsomely.
Handsomely. KJ for $4.99. I'm just glad the producers didn't preach woke intersectional after the show this time and just stuck to the actual episode's plot. Did they? Kate, we stopped watching. We still like
I didn't listen.
We don't listen to those bits.
Thank you, Kate. Yeah, we try to skip them, but thanks for being here. Not applicable for $2. Big fat blade, just one brittle edge, not great.
Oh, they mean like the episode is that.
Okay.
Short analogy, huh? I'm glad it's catching on.
I like that. No, I think that's a good thing. Staying on brand for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your channel doing good? Your channel doing good?
Great.
After the little question thing, good.
So, well, I mean, Night's Watch is taking off, and the community support that's come around has really helped out Shadiversity, and so it's mainly thanks to all my great fans who are just awesome, and so we're going well, and I credit it to the fans who've just outswelling of support.
And you asked and you presented a brilliant argument. That's something like you showed your evidence. Plus, you're a stand-up guy. Nobody's gonna.
Oh, thank you.
People are gonna support you.
Yeah, I'm more of a sit-down guy.
Yeah, I'm more of a sideways guy. I don't know what the fuck. Even Rose for $10. Do you feel the stories repeating motifs, Viserys parallel, Robert with an example, etc., is a boon to foreshadowing or a crutch where the narrative just needs to rhyme enough to seem profound? That's a good question, because this story is supposed to be foreshadowing for A Song of Ice and Fire. That's why it was told.
I've found that I like it, and I think that as much as I do connect them, Viserys and Robert are pretty different. They've got similar results, I guess you could say, as due to their personalities. But Robert was he was more than happy to just go to war. I think if the Stepstones thing, Robert would be enticed by that.
He would go himself.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. While Viserys is I don't know. Can we find a way to avoid war? Because I wouldn't want to. Because we had it with Robert was wasn't it the rebellion from the Iron Islanders? That was one of the ones that Robert fought after.
And he crushed it. I mean, it was just he was so excited to go out there and crush Balon Greyjoy, and
it's like he had the life Viserys sort of wanted, but he still didn't make him a better king.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying. Is there's loads of connections, but I find them meaningfully
very
different as people.
Very absolutely opposite as people. So, but that's what George tries to weave in parallel, and you will see a repeat like the Arya type. There'll be 3 or 4 in this book. There's 5 or 6 in A Song of Ice and Fire. He really likes tomboys who ride horses and are scrappy, and
we got the Cersei Jaime paternity question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I said, Ned Stark's big revelation is there's lots of echoing here as well with that.
Yep. I'm wondering, who do you guys side with at this point, the blacks or the greens, and why? Asked Dylan. Lindsay. I said I said mine. So what about you, Shad?
I'm all green at the moment, baby.
I mean, yeah, if there's one character, I've got to go with, I think Alicent has the best arguments right now and the most reason to be pissed off. So, however, if I were basing it on purely on who I like, that's it's harder to say. Who do I want to win because I like them the most? We got a lot of people I got to think about to do that. Maybe I'll revisit this question after a few more episodes and I'll see what I think. Maybe Alicent's going to do some horrible things, because I don't really blame her for the crazy Clubfoot man killing a bunch of us. Damn.
Everybody gets around to doing pretty awful things.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
So that's the legit question, is who are the good people we're going to, because you need that. You do need that. And I don't know if you're going to get that.
I mean, Alicent has her point, and I completely understand where she's coming from. And I think she's in the right from a moral standpoint. But Rhaenyra is the heir, and her children do share her blood, even if they are technically bastards.
She could get over it. She could just be queen. I mean, she's going to have this great life. Right?
Well, but I'm assuming that that's almost like what the fight is all over. It's she could take up the mantle, but then Alicent would be yeah, but it doesn't go to your kids because you've got no trueborns or whatever, right? There's problems to come. It's almost like everyone is fighting because of the fact that they believe a fight is coming.
But it's almost as if, as queen, she could acknowledge that they are in fact bastards, legitimize them, and she has dragons. I mean, it could spark a new war, but she's in a very strong position, I think, if she took that.
And this is all to avoid war in the realm. Remember that,
right?
This is all to
avoid threatening that you have dragons. Therefore, do you really want to challenge me? It's well, I mean, at that point, yeah, we are just going to war if Alicent would like to press her position, which she does want to. And again, I feel like she has the more righteous reason to do so. She's followed the rules.
George also needed to explain why there were no dragons at the beginning of A Song of Ice and Fire. Something had to happen. So holy crap, I love this episode. It had everything I wanted in a Game of Thrones episode. I knew what the Strongs were not long for the world, but man, I am genuinely surprised. Love you all. Keep on trucking. Thank Lawson Brady for $10. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they got to that fast too. You know?
Yeah, and like now that we've gone through the whole episode, I like they introduce Daemon's wife a bit more, and then she's gone this episode, and then we get to see more of the Strongs, and then he's gone as well. And I was kind of liking is it the dad, you know,
Lionel,
dad like I was starting to like him, and then I didn't even get an episode. He's already gone, so that they're not afraid to just move things forward, and it just shows, you know, the balls that the creators have the show to trust that, you know, we don't need to fall into a crutch relying on just these characters. There's going to be new characters, because now that the children are obviously going to be probably adults by the next episode with how things are progressing. Keeps you engaged.
It definitely does. So I'm going to do a square up tomorrow for this House of the Dragon last and the last 2 Rings of Power.
Sweet.
And I got Friday Night Tights one's gonna be Thursday. It's gonna be all day affair. It's all right. Be fun. The Scrubs are fun. They're really like laid back and cool. I kind of like them. I might even do it live. I'm not sure. So we got Hale. Having Shad on has been great. It's like when your separate friends meet and they all hit it off. Oh.
Oh yeah, you don't want to have 2 friends meet and they're really awkward around each other, and you're just like, no.
But we've been orbiting each other for a bit. We hang out on EFAP and stuff, and so Gary's a great guy. How could we not hit it off? He's a legend.
Thanks, you're a legend.
I'm actually going to check, because that was when I met you for the first time, right? Share the first EFAP episode, or did we meet before that?
I think we chatted a little bit before the EFAP thing, talking about the episode. And that was fun. Just also in terms of Worlds Meeting, I finally got to hop on a stream with Nick Ricada the other day, and Az was on as well. Great. We just had a blast laughing our heads off. That was a heap of fun.
Nick is one of the coolest dudes you meet, for sure. And doesn't give a fuck. That's how I like it.
He really doesn't. Oh man, he hates Star Wars, and so we got into it a bit. It was
because he thinks Jedis are groomers.
Yeah.
He's got a good argument. He's got a it's like he got me on that one. I'm like, oh. Well, I said definitely the Disney Star Wars Jedis are groomers for sure. Josh Kelsey for $20 says they might be legitimate, but stones only sink because they can't stop looking down. Oh, Rings of Power. I'll always have. Why do boats float and stones sink? Because they're not looking up. Did you know that? And you know, to find the light, you need to touch the darkness. Okay. So you mean just turn on the light switch? You're just kind of feeling around. And the actors who play the young and old Aegon II both played young and old Christopher Weissman in the Tolkien biopic from 2019. So those actors have already played old and young versions of each other. That is crazy.
That is cool.
Sir Maras, thank you for the 1999. Very cool.
Oh wait, Shad, 3.5 years I think that I've known you exist now, or at least we've known each other. That's just, gosh, that went fast.
Did it? Yeah,
that's crazy. Love the subtle part where they talk about the cost of being put on the people for the stepstones. Alicent cared, but Rhaenyra seemed not to mind, which is pretty important. How she takes to governing. Wink. Book nudge. Yes, Matthew Styles for $20, and that even calls back to her attitude before. Doesn't matter what the people think.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? You know who cares about the small folk? Probably more than both of them. Daemon.
Daemon, yeah.
Daemon. Mm-hmm. He hangs out with them. You know, he's a man of the people.
Mm-hmm.
The Westerner. I have thoroughly enjoyed the show so far, but the episodes, but out of the episodes currently out, this one was by far the weakest. Worst episode of the series, in my opinion. Daemon remains my favorite character by far, says the Westerner for $2. Yeah, I mean, Viserys had his day, and it's just now it's him waning in health, and it's kind of a bummer. This one had great moments. I think it was half a really fucking good episode, and it had some good payoffs, but that time jump was a little rough. Okay, wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
It didn't stick
It
to
was
landing.
bumpy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Bishop Cruz for $2. Quarter Black Garrett. Enough said. We'll end it there. Yep. Her kids got to look like Quarter Black, or at least Quarter Black's kids.
You think Daemon's kids, would be a bit more of a mix? They
Yeah,
think.
his kids should
leaned
look like Quarter
into
Black.
one side over the other. Okay.
Yeah, they just those wigs.
Yeah.
I can't get past it.
A super chat said you had a really sexy voice, Jane.
Oh, thank you.
Last time you meant to read that. See, that's
Objectification.
you're not offended or anything. You just said thank you. Wow. My
No.
God. So hey, Jane, thanks for jumping on last minute and filling in.
Anytime.
I really appreciate it. You did a great job. Is there anything you would like to plug? Anything you got coming up on your channel?
Thank you. Yes, I actually did just drop my Numenor video, lore video, basically talking about some of the problems with the Rings of Power and their portrayal of the Numenorian people, specifically the Numenorian men, who they continue to cook, I guess. I don't know. It's terrible. And I post news and pop culture news on occasion and other reviews. You can catch me on my live stream on Saturdays at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you.
Excellent. Great job, as always. Shad M. Brooks, how's that graphic novel going?
Dude, we passed 200K over the weekend, so that's been awesome.
Woo.
Like, absolutely awesome. And I'm sure most people have probably heard, but if you haven't, the graphic novel adaptation of my book is available. We're doing the launch campaign on Indiegogo. And seriously, guys, if you haven't tried my book, the graphic novel is a great kind of entry point, because I've always, graphic novels, comic books, I've always found them easier to read. I had trouble reading as a kid. I couldn't get into books as easy, but comic books are just, that's what actually helped me out, developing my reading skills and stuff as a young kid. But anyway, it's a great entry point to just give it a taste. I think you'll really, really like it. And if you do like the book, well, then you get to see it adapted in a new format. Visually, you get to see some really cool things. There's new things we put into the graphic novel. I think people really enjoy it. And the graphic novel, that's hardcover, and we're selling it for like $25 US. And so it's actually a good price for a graphic novel. And if you want to splurge, you can get the premium leather bound as well. And check out the artwork. I'm so happy with the art, man.
Oh, so good.
Looks
Mike
beautiful.
S. Miller is an industry veteran. He did Injustice, and it looks so good. Really, really happy.
There you go.
Yeah, he did. Yes, he
And
did. Hedge Knight, and pretty cool stuff. And it's
that is cool. Yeah. So these are your options. Now I straight up dropped the 500. I did it.
Dude, you're a legend. Thanks.
Hey, I'm gonna support my friend. I get the leather bound books. So definitely. If you want to support, especially independent creator, a good one, to quality independent creators, and the book is done. Okay, the books are done. So when the campaign ends, you're not gonna wait forever. You're gonna get the book. So it says estimated shipping date April 2023. Not that far off. So,
and if we can wrangle it, we'll try and get it earlier. But yeah, pretty confident because it's all ready to go. It's all ready to go.
That's fantastic. Great job, dude.
Thanks,
Mr. MauLer. I know, like, as soon as you left on Friday Night Tight, somebody super chat and asked when your next Force Awakens video is coming.
Listen, okay, nobody knows when anything's coming out for me. It just does, and then you go, "Ooh, look at that!" There.
Yep.
So that's I got nothing to say on that front. But yeah, Wednesday EFAB episode, we're gonna cover She-Hulk episodes 5 and 6 with Nick Rekieta. So that should be hilarious. I am indeed the reason he has seen She-Hulk now. He's very upset with me, but we'll try and channel that into entertainment.
Yeah.
What he was saying on the live stream, it was punishment for him.
I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait for the rant about the law.
I've been in more courtrooms than Nick Rekieta. Okay, that's a fact. Daemon cares for the commoners, huh? Dude doesn't even care for his wife or children. Gary, you're getting dangerously close to Matt's. No, he does. That's why he's called the Lord of Flea Bottom. I mean, he likes to fuck whores and do drugs and drink and stuff, but he doesn't like go out and kill them, or like he treats them with respect. He even mentions it in the first couple of episodes. He's like, that's why he goes out with the brutal justice for the small folk. Yeah, he really
It's
loves.
something he tries to teach Rhaenyra.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't like lords, and he like you could see that he's getting over the political game too. Daemon's gonna do some fucked up shit. Okay, he's gonna be your favorite character, but the Rhea Royce shit was nothing compared to what he's going to do.
He's still Daemon.
Yeah. It's you might think different of him by the end of the season. I'll just say that, but maybe not. Maybe you'll go, I love him. Like look at MauLer. Tywin was his boy. Tywin was his guy.
What do you mean was?
Tywin's an asshole. He's a fucking prick. He killed a bunch of Starks. I hate him.
I don't know. I've always understood the decision he made, man. It's a pretty good one. If I were his son, I'd been like, Dad, that was a legendary move.
The one chapter I'm dying for. Just release the fucking chapter, George. Is Lady Stoneheart meeting Jaime Lannister?
Oh,
because I think he pledges service to her. I think he does. That's a tough one, man, because he gets betrayed too. If you haven't read the book, it's fucking crazy, and that's why I hate George for keeping us hanging for Feast for Crows. That has been, how long ago was 2005? Long time ago. That was my second. That was my second year at the comic shop, owning the comic shop. That's how long ago. That's when Doctor Who was relaunched. That's when Feast for Crows came out. That's how long ago. All right. So thanks everyone. Thanks to how many mod rocks did I just have one today? I don't know. I love you, man. All the mod rocks, you're wonderful. Everybody who left a super chat donation, you're wonderful. Anybody who just spent time to hang out and supports these are doing good. We had our biggest crowd tonight. So as more people are interested in the show as it goes on. So far, so good. If it turns to shit though, we'll all tell you.
We will
that minute.
I feel like we did it today. We even got to really get into the nitty gritty of how something fell apart in this show. So yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah, you do, Kaylee. Stop it.
Man, tell you what, if it does go to crap, that would suck. But it just means if you wanted to see like an epic rant, I would go nuts if this show goes sour. Just from what we've been given, and they would just how much they would have ruined such a good thing. Hope it doesn't happen, but if they do, I will go ballistic on this crap if it happens.
Yeah. You're not seeing, like, we've gotten so used to seeing it because it used to be so unusual. Other characters being propped up at the expense of other characters instead of just creating characters. So Rings of Power coming out, like, it's a perfect storm. It really is. Like, Rings of Power, like, Warner Brothers could not have planned it better if they tried. I don't think without the Rings of Power, I think the show still does good, but I think it's getting it's a 3 or 4% from Rings of Power sucking. I think it is. I think it's like people still want fantasy. There's no way House of the Dragon should have succeeded. There's no, after Game of Thrones season 8, there's no fucking way, but they managed to do it so far.
Yeah.
And Rings of Power is so bad, it almost beggars belief. Like this, it's the type of thing with all the expectation of it being bad. The fact that it's this bad is like almost too convenient. If I was reading a story and it played out this way, I'd be like, "Oh, you're paying that off a bit too heavily," like with the build up. But no, they get what they deserve.
Hey, I've heard that something might happen in the next episode of Rings of Power, though. So that'll be neat.
Yeah, they're gonna have the battle of
I don't know, MauLer. I'm expecting it. Another long night or something. I was like, all right, yeah, there'll be a battle. Let's see the tactics. Let's see what happens in this battle.
I'm saying it'll be novel.
I want to see the girl bosses fight in karate in Middle Earth. That's what I want to see.
Obviously, when they set out to make this, they were like, "What if we make something important happen after 6 hours? Like that could be that could be new." And it's like,
MauLer shows don't get good till the 3rd season. Okay.
Okay. then okay, we shouldn't expect anything to happen. Okay.
Did you see what IndieWire put out yesterday?
No.
Before we go, I got to share this. This is something. This is fucking something. Rings of Power wasn't built for the water cooler, and that's okay.
You know why they say that? Because there's nothing to talk about for positives. You just like there's stuff and things.
Rings of Power is meant to be crap, and that's okay.
You want to talk about our show?
We really are in that era. I've seen this for so many things now that it's crap and that's fine. It's like,
yeah, it's just the latest thing, you know.
So who is it? What is it for then?
It's for the slow burn.
Steve Green, apparently.
Steve Green. Steve Green came up with this idea on his own, didn't bother bouncing it off anybody else, and thought it was good. That's the only thing I can think of. Where is it? Yeah. Where's the other headline? The Daily Beast. Oh yeah, that was good. The circles have gotten more and more people have done.
Yeah, I've seen those.
There's the other headline I was looking for. This one from Amazon's Lord of the Rings series is absolutely stunning and puts House of the Dragon to shame.
Oh wow! How to lose all your credibility? How to lose all your credibility in one headline?
No one believes that.
No one believes that at all. Not even producers of Rings of Power. Did you see the super fan who's like, I haven't watched it yet. I'm actually watching House of the Dragon. It's pretty good. You're right. And Jane, you're right. You're like, you tweeted the other day. You're like, this is just getting silly. It's getting ridiculous at this point, and it's funny as hell. And you're Shad, I couldn't have wrote a better script for it flopping than this. Like,
I know. I would have thought if this was a script, it's like you're being a little too generous in the payoff here, don't you think? It is amazingly bad.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes all my videos look really fucking good from 3 years ago. I'm just gonna say it, okay? I mean, I was joking in half of them. I'm like, we're gonna have this girl boss Galadriel, and she's gonna be like training female Numenorians. That wasn't all female Numenorians. I was wrong on that one, but I still might.
I don't know. You could make an argument that they're all girls. In that
very effeminate. Very.
Okay. You guys are awesome. Thanks for joining me tonight. I had a ton of fun. This is good.
Same,
this is good. So this is why I love doing these. This is a water cooler show. I mean, nobody has a water cooler anymore. Everybody works remotely in Mexico City now, but you know what I mean.
Just look at the conversation we've had about character motivations and meanings and stuff. It's a credit to the show that it can cause this type of conversation and speculation.
Yep. So, hey, showrunners, shut up and keep doing a good job. That's all I can say.
Shut up. Yes.
Talk about your show. Talk about your show. Oh my God. Yeah, that's going to cost you. I think it's going to cost them a little bit in ratings. I could be wrong.
I think it will, right? And it just shows. It makes me question what level of understanding they have of the show. But again, this is coming from the guy that left the show. Thank goodness, because if they were trying to say, "Oh, we'll make Alicent a woman MAGA kind of like thing," it's like all you are is just making the MAGA movement look really good because she's the most reasonable person in the show.
They have the righteous side.
I mean,
a legitimate position.
Like I was completely just before we go, like I was not team Alicent at all after reading the book. After the book, I'm like, I can't stand her. But like, and now I see her in the show, I'm like, oh, I still like Matt Damon. I know I'm rooting for the bad guys, but like objectively, she is probably the good guy right now. All right, guys, take care, and we'll see you all soon. And thanks for watching. Ciao.
Yes.
Bye.